Welcome, everybody. I am done. I am Tim Strange. It's been a pleasure to be here with you tonight. B.A. Anderson.
Thank you, Tim. So I will be short and sweet. This is my favorite night of the year. Most of you guys know this. I'm sure I've told you this every year for the last 30 years that you guys were my heroes, and it honors me every year to be here and honor you guys. So I do have to say one thing. This is the first year that we're actually starting to induct people that I actually registered and signed up at the window, which, I don't know, I'm starting to feel a little nostalgic about the whole thing. But anyway, welcome to Tulsa, and on behalf of the city of Tulsa, welcome to the Hall of Fame event. And I also want to thank the staff here at Hardesty Arena, Shane Fernandez, our president, Scott Shope, who makes all this stuff happen here, Ray Hoyt from our foundation. Thank you guys for making this happen. And once again, the grandfathers of our sport, and I will say that, the grandfathers of our sport, Gene Roden, Clayton John, Ernie Alexander, if you guys could just stand up for 1 second. Stand up, Gene. Yeah. So chances are 99% of every race that's been run in the country has been run by one of these gentlemen. My father is not here right now. Unfortunately, he could not make it this evening, but if he were here, he would definitely be in that group. But I will turn it over to Cash Matthews to induct the 2024 inductees. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you guys for coming.
Are these on? Are these on? Okay, we got one of these that's on. Good. I'm going to turn this one off. All right. Good evening, everybody. We're glad you're here. Welcome to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kind of the cradle of BMX in the United States, and so I'm glad to be here. Clayton John, where are you? Clayton, thank you for giving me this job 18 years ago. When you said, hey, would you like to be the MC at the Hall of Fame? I couldn't say yes quick enough, but I wanted to just personally say thank you in front of everybody for putting me here. So thank you very much, sir. All right. So what a night we have tonight. This is a time where we celebrate excellence. The philosopher Plato said that excellence is rare, and indeed that is true. Everybody here that supports BMX, all of the disciplines, the track operators that are here, man, we have a track operator Hall of Fame opening up. Tonight we draw the line in the sand that few will cross. To those whose life exemplifies excellence, that you would be remembered for all time. It's a night to say thank you to many people, to those who make our sport excellent, to those who make our sport relevant and special, and you'll get to hear from some of those people tonight. For some, tonight is a time to say goodbye. I don't know, to me, this is what heaven must look like. You know, when you pop out and you see all of your friends from your life and your childhood, and you're all together in one room, and you're face to face, and you're here celebrating in peace. We're not watching the lights, but we're living under them. And we're not competing for a trophy anymore. We're just, it's the weirdest sport ever. You know, I don't think the NFL gets together 2-3 times a year like this, and they love on each other. But BMX is truly one of the most unique sports. Tonight is a time to exhale. Tonight we say, job well done. We get to celebrate the ultimate brotherhood. And the sisterhood is part of the brotherhood, so don't yell at me after. Your grudges and frustrations from the past are all gone. You can't do anything about those. The history books are written with you in it. And each of us, whether you get to stand on this stage or not, each of us got to play a role in BMX. Whether you were just a digger or worked at the snack bar, everybody contributed to this sport. And to you, I say thank you, and I celebrate you as well. And we laid the foundation that children not yet born will enjoy. And I thank you for that. We set a standard for generations to come. So let's look back real quick for 50 years ago. I don't know what you were doing, but this is my 50-year anniversary in BMX. 50 years ago, man. September of '74 was very significant for BMX brands, BMX tracks, BMX events. 50 years ago, Redline founder Lynn Kasten made the first tubular Redline fork. I don't think he knew what a legend he was creating, but surely he did that 50 years ago. Thank you, Lynn Kasten, for that. We all had to have one of those. 50 years ago, Skip Hess invented the Motomag, and when I first saw those, I think I cried. When I first got one in my hand, I couldn't believe how good life could be. The iconic Motomag, we all had to have one. It's been 50 years since the start of two key BMX tracks. Michigan's Waterford Oaks and Florida's Sarasota BMX have been around 50 years, and I think that is a marvel. And then there's one other event that was 50 years ago. Perry, where are you? Oh, there you go. Did you race at the first Gold Cup? You were not at the very first Gold Cup? Well, me either. So the 50 years ago this month, the very first Gold Cup that Stu Thompson won, and the very first one he did, the qualifier. Right? Hey, it's on my script. Well, there you go. Well, that wouldn't. How old? Yeah. Okay. We'll get back to that. Dude, Gork put it in my speech. It's real. Anyway, so tonight we get to honor those who were committed to excellence, and excellence is rare, and we get to lift these unique people up for their contributions to be measured, recognized, and remembered. The sport of cycling will remember you inductees for all time. So tonight we get to start off with a brand new category, and this is honestly one that I am the most excited about, where we get to honor track operators. And I'll just be frank, without a track operator, we don't have BMX. Without these people who are working 5, 6, 7 days a week, often the track operator was someone's parent, and they wanted to do it because they love their kids and then they grow to love the sport. Some of those people end up doing it for a lifetime. And our first inductee tonight is Debbie Kelley, and I am so excited. Black Mountain is just legendary. And she's been doing things for decades. So before we bring Debbie up, we're gonna watch the lights and see a video about her career.
Brand new for 2024, the National BMX Hall of Fame has added a track operator category. Each year, USA BMX will honor and induct those deserving TOs who've dedicated much of their lives to serving their BMX community. Quite appropriately, our first TO inductee since 2008 is longtime Black Mountain BMX operator Debbie Kelley, who recently retired after running the top track in Phoenix, Arizona since 1987. Debbie and her husband Pete took over the reins of Roadrunner BMX and quickly made it the go-to track that would eventually host the Winter Nationals year after year. As the real mom to 3 BMXing boys, Todd, Troy, and Sean, Debbie would also become the surrogate mother to thousands of BMX kids over the past 37 years. Their dedication and support for the Race for Life series was a shining example for BMX tracks all over the country, showing them all how to raise funds for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Black Mountain became ABA's top fundraiser through much of the 90s. After Pete's tragic passing in 1995 and his induction into the Hall of Fame, Debbie continued on solo as TO, thanks to an amazing roster of volunteers who drop everything to help her out. Her contagious enthusiasm, generosity, love, and deep down support for her riders and their families has kept Black Mountain going strong for more than 4 decades. Throughout all of these years, she has encouraged her riders to take on challenges beyond the BMX track. Debbie has seen firsthand the life lessons learned in BMX racing and how they linger on long after that racer retires. Success on the track often leads to success in their lives, and Debbie has had the joy of experiencing second and third generations of racers, bringing out their new family to enjoy the same thrills and spills that they did growing up. After hosting over 30 Winter Nationals and just as many Arizona State Championship finals, Debbie Kelley made the tough decision in 2023 to retire from the BMX track operator position, turning the track over to last year's Hall of Fame inductee Bubba Harris and his good friend Carl Clark. Debbie, along with her husband, former ABA President Clayton John, are now enjoying their time away from the nonstop workload of being a successful track operator. Her inspirational love for both the sport and its riders and families has been rewarded with friendships that will last a lifetime. So stand up, folks, raise a glass, and get ready to be inspired as we bring to the stage Black Mountain BMX track operator, Debbie Kelley.
All right, Debbie Kelley, congratulations. It is a long way up. Is this one? All right, Debbie, congratulations. You ready for this? I am. All right. This one is live right here.
That video wasn't fair. I told myself I'm not going to cry. You know, I so wanted to take like 15 sheets of paper and tape them all together, walk up here and drop it down so you'd think I had a 2-hour speech. Well, I'm not doing that. But anyway, this definitely is a night of thank yous. I'll tell you. I want to start out by thanking God and His Son for all the blessings. My DNA family, you know I couldn't have done it without you. That is for sure. Back in 1975 is when we actually got into this sport. That is, within 2 months, we will have been in the sport 50 years. I will have nonstop. So another 50-year milestone. But how we got started was I was driving down Union Hills Road one day, had a little 5-year-old that loved his bike and a 2-year-old, and I get to 43rd Avenue and there was just nothing out there, and all of a sudden here's all these trucks and cars and all these people and these little kids on bicycles and bigger kids on bicycles. And so I went, oh man, that would be so neat. So I pulled in, went to the first father I could come to and said, what is this? And he said, this is BMX. And I said, what is BMX? So he gives me the short version of what that was. And in the same time, he tells me about this bike shop that he said, you know, you're going to have to do some modifications to your son's bike. And here's a bike shop that knows what needs to be done, and here's the location. So sure enough, I take that little bicycle, drop it off. A few days later, I go to pick it up, and this guy comes from the back of the shop with this big bag of parts and this almost a bike. And I went, oh, snap, Pete's going to kill me, you know. I take this perfectly good bike and have it stripped down. But so we get home. Short story of it is that Pete jumped right in and says, well, it looks like we're going racing. So we have loved this sport, been involved. We would think of things to do differently to try to make things better. But you fast forward from 75, 6 years, and we were one of the 3 families that built Roadrunner BMX. Yeah. Roadrunner was a beautiful track when he got it built, Tom Wiley, but unfortunately he had a lot of health issues, and so Pete and I ran it for him for the time that he had it. But every time that track was open from 1981, we have been there working that track one way or the other. But when I look at the boys, I have 3 amazing boys that have just grown up totally in this sport, worked their little hearts out, and they got an education out there at that track that you couldn't get at school. I mean, when they were so little, they could barely see over the dash. They were driving water trucks and driving tractors and, you know, doing all this stuff. And then it progressed to where they learned electrical and plumbing. And, I mean, they really got an education out there. After Pete passed away, before he did, our first son, Sean, used to dual announce with his dad, not only at the track, but at the fairgrounds for car races. So after Pete passed away, Sean stepped up, and he has been out there every time we're open for all these years. The best announcer in the world. Yeah. So I thank him for that. And our number 2 son and number 3 son, after college, they decided to go to become right-of-way agents. Well, they do pipeline work, and they're still working in that industry today. But that is like a gypsy's dream, because you move all over the United States. But do you know those kids, every single year, no matter where they lived, they'd pack up their whole family, fly home to Arizona to help us with the Winter Nationals. So these kids are just amazing to me. For all these years, thank you. Thank you. In all these years, I've always said that I had a number 4 son. I don't know if any of you know Mike Trotta, but I'll tell you, when Pete passed away, Mikey stepped up and he helped his surrogate brothers keep Pete's dream alive. So he was out there for years, and I thank him for that. The bottom line is, not one person, not one family can run a BMX track. It takes a village. And I always swore that we had the best crew in all of ABA land or USA BMX land. So I'm telling you, I thank all of them over the years, for sure. Now I come to my other family, my BMX family. And I'm here to ask you to, I can't even begin to tell you how much I have loved you through these years and will continue to love you. But I want to thank you for sharing your babies with me, because that's a lot of years, a lot of babies, a lot of families. And yeah, so, and hopefully a lot more. And like the video said, I'm on my 3rd generation. Can you imagine that? The babies who were racing in the beginning grew up, had babies, and their babies started racing, and then they grew up, had babies, and their babies are racing. 3 generations, and we have that 3rd generation on balance bikes right now. So that's a blessing as well. When I think about the things that I'm so proud about that Black Mountain has achieved, we have done 34 nationals throughout these years. And we did, after COVID, we were the first track to open up, and we did 3 nationals in 13 months. Yeah, that has to be a record. And I've got to tell you, with the work that goes into hosting a national, that was quite a feat. And once again, my family, both DNA and BMX family, pulled that off. So, but we've hosted everything from Gold Cup finals, Red Line Cup series, many state championship finals, putting us as number 1 track in Arizona. Our youngest son, Todd, he was the top fundraiser for Leukemia Race for Life for more years than I can remember. And I can remember the first year we were at the banquet, and Gene Roden went and found a milk crate back in the cafeteria area for him to stand on so he could look over the podium. So I think it was, what was he, Gene, like 6? He was really little boy. But another program that we did, I called one of my best friends, Pat Bell, and we put together a program we called Rip It Now, and it was for children and adults with disabilities. And we had a huge trailer, and we go to these events like Chandler Mayor's Days, or we go to facilities like Gompers, and we'd unload this thing, set up little wooden jumps, fit these children with helmets, and Strider, God bless them, donated a slew of balance bikes for us. And that was the year that they came out with a 20-inch. So we had everything from micro mini to 20-inch. And I will never forget, we were at one of the events and this mom was crying. So I went over and I put my arm around her and I said, what's wrong? And she said, I did not believe I would ever see my son ride a bike. And found out her son was 32 years old. And he was out there on one of those 20-inch balance bikes, just going to beat the band. So it's truly a ripple effect, this sport of BMX. You know, it starts with the core, your heart, and your heart puts the pebble in the pond, and the ripple goes out, and it goes out. So we're just, all of us, every one of us here are blessed to be in it, that's for sure. We had all the normal community programs, and we not only wanted our riders to support those programs, but we wanted to get them involved in the process. So we had not only Feed the Hungry drives, we had all of the traditional ones, you know, Race for Life. And then we did the toy drive at Christmas time. But one of them that I was really proud of the BMX community for was, I was reading the newspaper, and here's this little tiny article, and it's talking about this new school in Phoenix for all the homeless kids. And what they were pleading for books. They said they desperately needed books for this school. So I go back to the track, and I rally the family, and we ended up collecting books to the point that it took 2 pickup trucks full of boxes of books to take them to that school. That's our BMX family for you. Well, while I'm there, the lady there, she comes up and she's talking to me, and she said, you know, it's so sad because these kids, so many of them need reading glasses. That's why they're behind in reading. And I thought, oh, okay, well, we can help with that too. So once again, go back to the family. We raised enough money that we went to Costco, and back then they'd have those packages with like 6 or 8 glasses in it of the same strength. And so we bought all different strengths, took them there. And a year later, the same lady calls me up and she says, hey, do you think that any of your riders or their sisters would have any party dresses or prom dresses that they might want to donate? We're having our first prom for these homeless kids. So once again, back to the family, and we not only collected a bunch of dresses, but we got some suits for the boys as well. So it's just a lot of different programs. But the one program I am the most proud of was we put together a foreign exchange program. One of the dads at the track and myself, we worked through the mayor's office, through their Sister Cities program for almost a year and a half to pull this off. And what we did was we said, okay, I didn't want to be the one to pick the kids. So we said, okay, what we'll do, talking to the mayor's office, is we'll have them submit an essay with the title, Why I Feel I Would Be a Great Youth Ambassador for the United States of America. So they had on the form, it had the mailing address for the mayor's office and all that good stuff. Well, this lady calls me about halfway through the process and she says, hey, did you know you had a girl that wants to do this? Will you let her do that? I said, sure. I said, but there's going to be one rule change. If we do have a girl, her mom has to be a chaperone. So we ended up with 6 riders, 3 chaperones. We took those kids for 2 weeks to Europe. They got to go to the Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Italy, Germany, and France. Yeah, I was thrilled. It was the greatest thing I'd ever done. I'd never been to Europe. So, but they got to race not only in the Netherlands, but they raced in Germany. And you racers out there, you'll appreciate this. We go to the Netherlands, and their track is almost a flat track, totally. Every turn was flat, in little tiny jumps. And the sad thing was that the surface was like pebbly, so it was one of those perfect slide out at every turn kind of thing. Well, that was an eye-opener for our kids, that's for sure. And then in Germany, it was absolutely the opposite. They had these huge, like 20-foot berms and just the most beautiful tracks. The whole infields and the back of the berms were all manicured grass. And so they really got an experience all the way around with that. And when they got home, they did a speech at either a pep rally or whatever, and the kids ended up getting a high school credit for going and doing all of this. So it's just been an amazing ride. And my last huge thank you is to BA. BA, you know I love you. I've loved you since you were just a little boy. You know that. To Bernie Anderson, and of course, my precious love of my life, Clayton John, my husband. And I want to thank the whole gang at USA BMX for supporting me and all these years and believing in me throughout all the years. And in closing, I'd like to say, I have loved this sport and all of you the bigger part of my life, and I will continue to love forever. Thank you for this honor, and it is truly humbling. Thank you, you guys.
Debbie, the beauty of creating programs for kids is that we can copy it later in life. And when we opened the building, I was visiting with Shane, and we talked about kids from this neighborhood one day appearing on that wall in there, the Hall of Fame wall. And shortly after, Shane put together the RISE program, which works in this community. But see, we learn from people like Debbie that have built programs for kids. The RISE program has its 80th kid in it. They all get a bike. They all get to learn how to ride a bike from an Olympian. They practice right here. 3 of our graduates from RISE podiumed at the Grands. A lot of these are kids who've never been on a bicycle. One of our graduates won first place at the Legacy Nationals. So, Debbie, it makes a difference when you work on behalf of kids and children and communities, and I salute you. And what an honor it is to be part of this with you. All right. I would love to do an intro for our next inductee, but there's somebody way better at it than me. And I have the honor of bringing up Bob Osborn, who we heard a little bit about his bio. I am profoundly thankful that this man exists. Without him, I don't know where BMX would be, but he breathed life and color into BMX. And I'm going to have Bob Osborn come up and do the next introduction. Oz, are you out there? All right, come on up here. Yeah, walk around. All right, let's hear it for Bob Osborn. All right.
This one works? Thank you, Cash.
That one's good.
Thank you. This thing works, right? Here we go. Long, long ago and far, far away, high in the mist-shrouded mountains of Torrance, California, in the secret headquarters of Wizard Publications, Gork said, when Oz has something to say, when Oz has something to tell you, pay attention, no matter how long it takes. So pay attention, buckle up. This first one is an aside. A half century ago, we had the first bicycle motocross action race team. Donnie Jones, Randy Emmerich. Donnie died recently. Sorry to say that. Harry Leary died recently. I hope those guys hope they're in a really good place. Donnie Jones, Randy Emmerich, Ike Eisenacher, RL. Today, half century. You guys getting that? Half century ago. Today, we have a new bicycle motocross action racing team. You guys stand up. With his arm up. Wait. That in the white jersey is Oliver the Terminator Mangus. Ami, stand up. Ami, stand up. In the yellow jersey is Ami Pickles Mangus. After a half century, they're the new BMX action, bicycle motocross action race team. Now, let me tell you a couple interesting things about that. We race at a USA BMX track over in the next town in Bozeman. It's about, a 30-minute drive, something like that. Those guys are cool, too. I love those kids. USA BMX track in Bozeman. Bicycle motocross action. Toby Henderson has resurrected bicycle motocross action. Some of you guys know this. I think his stated goal is to protect and promote old school BMX. If you don't know who Toby is, if you watched the Olympics, every single number plate said box. That's Toby. That's Toby's brand. Toby is working on a brand new high-tech, cutting-edge racing bike called Send It. I have no idea where he got that name, but that's the name, Send It. And I think, talking to his wife, Jill, I think it'll be out in, a couple months. There's a theme to what I'm telling you. There's a couple themes, but there's a main theme. The main theme is do what you love, do it brilliantly, and everything else will fall into place. And I've known Toby for a long time. In my experience, Toby is the personification of that. I am not going to go into Toby's story, but I know, and he has done his whole life what he loves, and he's done it brilliantly, and he is doing really good right now. Toby, where is Toby anyway? I have my glasses on, I can't see shit up here. Toby Henderson over there, you guys. Okay, now we're going to talk about Lou and Spike. Lou and Andy and Spike. 1983. BMX Action magazine the racing was kind of getting crowded out by freestyle. It was kind of bumping into it. And we started thinking, Let me back off for a second. Van Gogh, a long time ago, said, great things come from a number of small things brought together. So 83, bunch of small things. One is freestyle is crowding out racing. I'm starting to think of splitting them off in, I don't know, early summer. 1983, we had a drawing contest. We announced it in BMX Action magazine. End of summer, we got the results. The kids mailed in their drawings. We had so many drawings, we didn't have enough horizontal surfaces to put them on, so somebody over here correct me. Diane, correct me. Diane Giberson, who? Don? Don, I don't think was Don Tosach. I don't think Don was with us yet. Who else? Kurt Smith. All these people laid out all these drawings on the floor in the warehouse with aisles going down. And we all, everybody there, we had some plan, which I cannot remember what it was now, but all of us would walk up and down the aisle of these drawings, and we'd each get to pick 2 or 3, and that was kind of the semifinals. And I don't know how many of us there were, 15 maybe doing this. And then we had the finals, and this dude from Wyoming or somewhere won. Okay, cool drawing. Remember Van Gogh. Bunch of small pieces coming together. Let me tell you, I'm going to slip off on a tangent here. Diane Harlan, I don't know what her name is now, it's not Harlan, but Diane Harlan, who's right over here. About a year after that, I was going on a photo trip to, I was loading my van with large format cameras and slides and a bunch of stuff. And this girl that I barely knew in there came up and said, "Can I go with you? I don't talk much." And we've been friends ever since. And I mean, we've been friends ever since. So that's Diane. So we sent a bike. The guy that won the contest, we sent a bike. He sent back a postcard. If I still had that postcard, Gork would be framing it and hanging it in the museum over here. And I'm going to tell you basically what the postcard said. I am nowhere near as, I'm not sure what word is, clever, cool, right on the button as the postcard. The postcard said something about, I just got my bike. I was so excited. This is a postcard. 2 sentences. I was so excited I spilled Mountain Dew all over my new Vans. And he sent the postcard back as a thank you note. Are you catching up with this? Bits and pieces, small things coming together. I was thinking of doing a Freestylin magazine. This dude won the drawing. He can draw. He sent me a postcard. He can write. He can think. He understands BMX. And so, doing the businessman thing, we called him and flew him out to Torrance, excuse me, and interviewed him, which was baloney, because I already knew, when I got that postcard, I already knew if there was any way in hell I was going to hire that guy. That would be Andy Jenkins right here. Andy Jenkins. Come on, man. Andy Jenkins. Stand up, Andy. Okay, I don't know, 6 months, a year went by. By the way, somebody told me earlier, yesterday I think it was, they said, what did they say? Your understudies, Andy and Lou, they did good. Your understudies, they did good learning from you. And I told that guy, can I cuss up here a little bit? They didn't learn diddly shit. I never told them a single, this is the truth. I never told those guys a single thing to do. So now I'm talking about Andy and Lou. We had a couple exciting moments. We had a brand new high-tech, this was 83 or 84. We had a brand new high-tech floor model copy machine. Man, I don't know how much that thing cost, but we just got it in. And I came into the warehouse. I think I was up in my office, and I walked back into the warehouse, and I think it was Lou. And he's got the flap. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me over here? He's got the flap open and his face down on the thing, and that light is going across, and he's rolling. And I walk out there, and I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at Andy, who is standing there, and I stopped, and I looked at it. I turned around, went back in my office. Kept my big mouth. I did a lot of keeping my big mouth shut. I did not tell those guys a thing, not a thing. They took it, they did it. One night I came in there, I came in late, I left something at the gallery. I opened the warehouse door, went in, and there's this god-awful noise. I mean, just blaring industrial rock. Andy, Lou, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they make such a god-awful noise as that. But boy, were they loud. And I was already inside, so I went over and said, hi, how you doing? Then I turned around, went back, went home. So learning, who learned from who? I learned a lot from those guys, the hard way. Let's see, I want to mention grammar, because I'm going to touch on genius in a minute. But I want to mention grammar. Andy and Lou, who are geniuses, they are walking, talking, breathing, real life, in-your-face geniuses. And their grammar is not worth, their grammar is awful, which took a lot of my time because I had to rewrite their articles. And it still had to say the same thing, but it still had to be in the lingo, and it had to do what they were trying to do. That was hard, man. And pretty soon, I think Don Tosach got moved into that position. I think at one time we hired a tutor, a college dude, to come in and try to teach these doofuses grammar. But in all this time, Freestylin magazine was coming out, and it was killer. I mean, it was Freestylin magazine was so well done. These goofball pictures with a copy machine, they started changing art and magazine art and sports magazine art. Freestylin magazine was done so well that they were having a positive effect on other parts of the industry. So now there's one more dude that I have to mention. About a year after that, so Andy and Lou are just cooking on Freestyle magazine. And I don't know how Andy was. I asked him earlier. I think he was 20 when he came to us. At 20? And Lou was 17? 17, okay. I remember when let's go back to the interview. That was baloney. I already knew I was going to hire Andy. I think I said that, but that was a lip. I didn't interview anybody else. Nobody. I didn't tell Andy that because I'm a publisher, you know. Okay. What? 6 months later, the thing grew so much they had to hire another guy. Andy said, hey, I know a guy back in Michigan or somewhere like that. And I said, cool, man. And Lou came. Okay, Lou came. 6 months later, something like that, the magazine grew again. They needed somebody else. And he said, hey, I know this dude in Rockville. I'm going, cool. And so one day I'm in my office again, and I walk out the back door into the warehouse, and I walk back there, and there's this kid, like, I don't know, man, 14 years old, blonde-haired kid, short hair, and he's walking across, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, that's Spike. And I'm thinking FBI, hostage rescue, child labor laws. And I'm thinking, and I'd heard that Spike's going to live with Lou and Andy. Lou at the time is getting tattoos all over the place. I have no idea what's going on with those guys over there. Spike's going to live with this kid. Anyway, that's Spike. Spike Jones. He's, okay. Did I lose a paper here somewhere? Yeah, I did. So, let's see, I got two things to say. One is there's a theme to what I'm telling you. And the theme is do what you love, do it. This is the secret of success. You could have a discussion of what success is. I know what it is. And it's not always money. But anyway, the secret of everything is do what you love, do it brilliantly, and everything else will take care of itself. Toby Henderson personifies that. Andy and Lou totally personify that. So one more thing. Freestylin Magazine, in retrospect, I've had a lot of time to think about it. There is nobody in the world that could have done that magazine better than those two guys, Andy and Lou. Thank you, guys.
Usually on page 3 or 4 of any magazine, you can find what is called the masthead, a list of those responsible for creating that piece of pulp resting in your sweaty palms. And in 1984, one of the most awaited arrivals in everyone's mailbox was the fresh new magazine from Wizard Publications, Freestylin. From his desk at the mist-shrouded Mountaintop BMXA headquarters, Hall of Famer Bob Osborn watched this new branch sprouting from the BMX tree. He could see that this new sport was about to explode on the BMX scene. Specific bikes were being made, competitions were happening, trick teams were touring, and freestyle riders were about to pick up big-time sponsors. Oz knew just what to do. It was time to create a new title, one that would capture the energy of this fledgling sport called freestyle. Andy Jenkins, an art student, Joy Division fan, and BMX skating fanatic from Wyoming, was hired on as editor, teaming up with former Bicycle Sport Mag's Don Toshak as managing editor. With a red pen in hand, Don's job was to turn enthusiastic BMXers, like Andy, into professional riders, combining proper punctuation among all the BMX slang and jargon. Andy's first issue hit the newsstands in the summer of '84, and it was an instant hit. And it quickly picked up steam, helping boost the rapidly expanding freestyle portion of the bicycle industry. Demand for ad space was growing, which is where Valerie Adlam came in. Then there was Diane Harlan, jack of all tasks. She would assist on everything from art department and darkroom production, developing black and white film, to work in the front desk answering phones. She also had a cameo in the opening scenes of the BMXA Trick Team video, Rippin'. By 1986, Freestylin had doubled in size, needing new staff to cover the white-hot scene sprouting up all over the world. Mark Luman, aka Lou from Kalamazoo, was hired as assistant editor, making the mag more edgy. Andy's talented and artistic sister, Janice Jenkins, became full-time art director, while Bethesda, Maryland's Spike Jones, real name Adam, was hired fresh out of high school as associate editor and photography assistant. In a very short time, Spike would share photography credit with Hall of Famer Wendy Osborn. Together, this crew created one of the industry's most influential media voices for freestyle. Partly due to the addition of skateboarding coverage to the content, page count continued to grow in 1987, while simultaneously helping bridge the gap between these two rival extreme sports. By 1988, the thickest BMX publication of all time hit the newsstands. Freestylin's May issue boasted an incredible 180 pages, a sure sign of the pinnacle of freestyle's success and height of popularity. But alas, strange times and stranger coverage slowly crept in around 1989 as the sport took to the street. By the end of the year, Freestylin and BMX Action would merge together to form Go, the Rider's Manual. Yet those first 5 years of a seminal publication will forever be remembered as a defining voice in freestyle coverage, one that captured the visual look and feel to the attitude and reckless abandon of its community. Freestylin Magazine was a groundbreaking publication that left a huge impact on us all who religiously thumbed through its pages. Thanks to this amazing staff, these 7 people about to be inducted tonight, Freestylin Magazine would resonate for years beyond its publication run and is still relevant to this day. Please join us in welcoming Andy Jenkins, Mark Lumen, Spike Jones, Don Toshak, Valerie Adler, Janice Jenkins, and Diane Harwood as this year's industry inductees.
On behalf of the USA BMX National Hall of Fame, please welcome for the induction for 2024 the staff of Freestylin Magazine.
Let me tell you, this is very surreal for me. It's an honor and it's a thrill, but it's surreal. I was on staff for 11 years, and it was just an amazing journey. I could stand up here for the next week and talk about the virtues and the talents of this cast of characters, but the fact that we're all standing up here, I think, indicates that you already know that. So I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you a personal anecdote that'll probably give you a more, after what Oz said, a little bit more of an insight as to the environment that Wizard Publications was. And it starts with, in 1980 is when I hired on. And how I got hired was, in my high school typing class, at the end of the semester, there was this 8x10 piece of copier paper posted on the bulletin board behind the teacher, and it simply said, "Excellent typist wanted." There was a phone number, and it said, "Ask for Wendy." And I remember, and I was an excellent typist. I thought, well, that's right up my alley. And I thought, there's a typo. They need a typist because they spelled Wendy wrong. They spelled it with an I instead of an E. Well, little did I know, I called the number and I spoke to none other than Winsome Wendy Osborn herself. And she interviewed me, and within about a week, I got hired. And yes, the story is true that I was a freshman in high school at the time, so I was 14 years old. And I didn't really know, but I figured there's probably some labor laws, and the minimum age is 16, so I lied about my age, and I said I was 16. The joke was on me because much later, I found out that I was the only one that applied, so the universe works in mysterious ways. So 2 years later, when I did turn 16, I don't know how I did it, but I convinced my parents to let me take the proficiency exam to get my GED, to get out of high school so that I could go to work at Wizard Publications full time. And I pulled it off. Little did I know, I was young and naive, and I did not know that I was going to be working for the rest of my life. But anyway, that was the start of an 11-year career at that company, at those publications. And really, even though I only had 2 years of high school, I got out, I went to work, and I got a university level education in business administration and publishing that has served me throughout my life. So, having been hired in 1980, it was right about the time that it was that meteoric rise in BMX racing. And I got to see, I proceeded and I got to see the A-team members cycle in, and no pun intended, but cycle in onto the staff, first with Steve Giberson and then Gork. And then when freestyle trick riding was born and grew and exploded, and it warranted having its own dedicated magazine, that's when I got to see this barrel of monkeys come on board. And like Oz said, they were very talented, they were pretty raw, but that was the beauty of them. And any one of these guys, and Janice, had so much talent, but you put them all together, you pulled them together and get them working in a common direction, and together we were an absolute powerhouse. I think I had the absolute best job in the company because I went from, I didn't say that. So when Wendy hired me, what my job was for an hour and a half or 2 hours after school was to type address labels for people whose magazine subscriptions were about to expire, so they wanted to send renewal notices to them. That's how I started. And because I was a really good typist and it didn't take that long, I started, Wendy had me filling in, doing ancillary products, filling orders for things like the t-shirts and the hats and the stickers and the helmet visors and all that stuff. So did all that. When I turned 16, when I got my driver's license, when I went full-time, I had the best job in the world because I got to fill in between all the cracks. I didn't have to do any one thing. So I had my hand in everybody's pie. I was answering the phones, I was typing, I was doing administrative stuff, I was running errands. I got to drive the company car to LA to pick up backdrops and film and bricks and bricks and bricks of film. I got to take Cosmo to the vet. That wasn't fun. All the things I got to do. I was helping doing deposits for the advertising revenue and just a little bit of everything, but basically filling in the blanks, shipping and receiving. And from time to time, Wendy had there were fully assembled bikes that she needed to do a photo shoot in the studio. And this is, again, back before the days of computers and Photoshop. And everything had to be done creatively by hand. And so I was the person, while she was behind the camera and had the lights and everything set up, that I had my hand on the bike and I was holding it upright because they didn't have kickstands and we didn't want to put blocks under there. So I'm standing there holding the seat and she'd count down 3, 2, 1 and I'd let go and then I'd grab it. And in that moment, she'd take a couple of pictures and we'd do that a bunch. So I worked with her when she was doing photography. And somewhere in there, I had expressed an interest and somehow some ability. And the next thing I know, I'm under her wing, and she's teaching me all the tricks of the trade in the darkroom, and now I'm processing all the black and white film, and I'm doing all the prints that allowed her to go out, do more stuff in the studio, go out in the field more, which had me working more closely with the editors. And so I'm doing that sort of stuff. I'm working with the editors. I'm working with the art department, which kind of allowed me to slip my foot in the door in the art department because I had some creative juices. And I earned a seat at the drafting table doing design and production for BMX Action and Freestylin. And I shake my head because I'm thinking I went from typing address labels to doing that sort of thing. And basically my last 6 or 7 years, I was in the darkroom in the art department. And I got to, working with the editors, I got to hear all the stories, I got to read the copy, I'm processing the film, so I'm seeing everybody in the industry. I knew all of you and nobody knew me, and I was perfectly okay with that, but I was having a blast because these guys were the front men of the band, and I got to be the behind the scenes, and I got away with a lot of stuff because I didn't have to impress anybody. But it's true what they say, that if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life, and I never worked a day in those 11 years I was at Wizard Publications because I absolutely loved what I did and the people I did it with. I could not wait to get up in the morning to go to work, there's that 4-letter word, to go to the office, to be with these guys, to do what we did, and then 5:30 was quitting time technically, but all that was a mark on the clock that said, okay, time to think about going home, getting something to eat, maybe doing laundry, pay some bills, and get some sleep so that you can come back tomorrow and do it again. That's how much excitement and how much passion I had for what we were doing and how much I loved doing it with these guys. And along those lines, I can't see you, Oz, because the lights are bright. I don't think I've ever told you this directly, but I'm going to take the opportunity now because you're here and you're old as dirt. So I don't know how much longer you're going to be around. But you were, as the publisher, you were the publisher, you were my boss, you were my mentor, you were my friend, and you were my surrogate dad, and so much in between. And I want to say thank you for the opportunity and the work environment that you created, because what that provided for me throughout my life was a rock-solid foundation that allowed me, that basically led me to a very successful and a very blessed life. And I am eternally grateful for that. Thank you. Beyond that, I also want to say, and a minute or so longer, sorry guys, I want to say thanks to all of you, the racers, the riders, the freestylers, to just kids in the neighborhood out riding their bikes. Because we were the media, back when that was a respectable term. What we did was we witnessed what all of you guys were out there doing, and we were collecting it in putting words to it and collecting photographs and putting it into a tangible form that we then sent out to the masses, and we had a worldwide subscriber base. We were the window into your world. We were a reflection of what you were doing, and without you being out there doing what you did, we couldn't have done what we did. So thanks all around, seriously. It goes without, well, it doesn't go without saying. I feel very privileged, and I'm very proud to have been a part of Wizard Publications and a part of this team, and you too, Gork. It's been an incredible life's journey that started in those 11 years, and I'm just, to say it again, eternally grateful. Thank you.
Woo! It makes you a little anxious up here. It feels a little bit like I did in June of 1980, my first day at a BMX track. And I got my Kmart bike with a paper plate as a number plate and about a half a roll of duct tape holding my pant leg down on my green sweatpants. And the universe works in such a weird way, because I didn't get told to get lost. I got told, we'll see you next Sunday, man. And take the kickstand off your bike. It'll go a little faster. And it took me a long time to figure out that I was not going to be a dominating racer. But what I found out at Kalamazoo Valley BMX track was a community of people that were kind of on the same wavelength. We all shared the same mindset and loved to do this thing every weekend. And soon after I started going out there, I was getting tips every week, and somebody said, "Hey, read this. This is what you got to pay attention to." And she probably typed into the subscription list 427 Parch Mount, Kalamazoo, Michigan. And we started getting BMX Action delivered to our house every month. And, incredible, mind-blowing. It's so weird that a lot of the people in this crowd and in that building were on my bedroom wall growing up. And the media was pretty slow then. It took a month at a time. So you had all these hours and hours to study what was going on and look at somebody's style and look at the stickers on their number plate and kind of wonder what they were about and what it felt like to do what they were doing. And those kind of built up in me over the years. Fast forward till the summer of 1985, I've just graduated high school. I'm armed with a few riffs of stationery and stamps, and I get inspired. I'd never written a letter to anybody in my life, and I started firing unsolicited "what's up" to this guy. And every day for a month until I ran out of my stationery kit, I'm writing and pestering and saying, hey, we're going to steal some plywood from this construction site and build a quarter pipe in the neighbor's yard. And here's a mixtape of some bands we're into. And August 5th, 1985, I go out to the mailbox, and you know, it's so amazing and rare in your life when you find something, the universe opens up, and you just know everything's going to be different. I opened the mailbox, and in there was a letter from Torrance, California. Andy Jenkins had written me back and said, "You're a pretty weird dude, but here's some stickers. And you know, our magazine is growing, and we might have room for somebody to come out and take a desk with us and help us put this thing out. Would you be," and I had to turn the page over, "would you be game?" And about 30 days later, I had given away all my stuff, moved from Kalamazoo, Michigan, out to Los Angeles with my cardboard box, and started my new job. I joined the circus, and my first day on the job, I get issued a Wizard Publications K-Pro word processor that took 5-inch floppy disks, and a vest pocket Webster's dictionary, professional tools of the trade. And the word processor was known for, if you took a break to go out in the parking lot and skateboard, you'd come back in and the story you had written would be wiped out. It would have to be rewritten. And I think the vest pocket dictionary was a trick, because we seldom opened that thing up. And it was really like what was underneath it, you know, your heart. That's what we were asked to write about. It was like what was going on around us at the time. And BMX and freestyle both have this tradition of making it up as you go along and just figuring it out. And I found myself in this world of my heroes and all these stories springing up. Fiercely competitive people and highly collaborative people. And people who are really expressive individuals, and people who could also all belong to the same big thing that was happening. And I just want to thank you for letting me help tell your stories. And you changed my life, and I'm so grateful for that.
It's always hard to follow Lou, because he just says the right words. And for me, BMX was a saving grace when I was a young kid and wanted to get away from things that were going on in life, and you know, started racing in '79, and just BMX Action was my Bible. I read every single word of that magazine and the captions, and looked at every photo. I knew who all your guys' sponsors were, and where the races were, and I wanted to go. You know, I just wanted to be a BMX racer, and I wanted to race and go see the country. And eventually I figured out, well, I'm not good enough to be a pro, so I got to figure out something else to do. So I wound up going to art school. And but in art school, my portfolio was based almost entirely on BMX and BMX companies. You know, making up fake brands and advertisements. And one of my teachers told me that you're never going to get anywhere if you're going to do this BMX stuff. Like, what is this? You know, you got to go into a wider audience. And I was like, you know what? This is what I do. So I did it, and wound up getting top portfolio. And I was like, okay, well, that gives some, you know, BMX has got some place there for me. And at that same time, I was contributing the drawings to BMX Action, and I know these guys saw them. And I got a phone call from Oz that said, hey, you know, you got time to come out to California and to visit. After I sent that postcard to Oz, And of course, I jumped at it. I left Denver during a snowstorm and got to LAX, and it was sunny and green. I just couldn't believe it. A Wyoming kid going to a place like that. And it was my dream to be there because BMX was based there. Like the magazines were there, motocross was there, skateboarding was there. And I felt like, I'd finally made it. And it was all due to, I think, a man right there that saw something in me that I don't think I saw. And he gave me a shot, and I took it, and it was a window opportunity that was open. And I'm very grateful that I had that window open and that I took a chance and jumped through it and moved to Torrance. And Oz basically took me under his wing, and he was like a surrogate father to me. I don't know if you know that, Oz, but when I moved out there, I needed that. And it was rough because I had left my girlfriend in Denver, Kelley, who's now my wife. And we were apart for a couple of years until she graduated and moved out. So thanks for putting up with that, Kel. I mean, in life, I've found that one of my favorite things to do is collaborate with people. There's so many amazing people out there, and if you're lucky enough to meet one, to be able to sit and do something with them and brainstorm and make something happen and actually make a physical thing is just a gift. And I felt like at Wizard, that's what was embraced there, was a total feeling of cooperation and collaboration, and everyone was having a blast. And I mean, it seems like a dream now looking back at that whole time. And I'm thinking now, as a 60-year-old, and that was 5 years of my life working at Wizard. A small sliver of my life that made every difference in the world to me, and has helped guide me to where I am now. And I'm forever grateful, to Oz and everyone else there in the BMX community that I was lucky enough to join back in '84. And I don't know what else to say. I got to work with this guy, Lumen, and help mentor him a little bit. And then we got Don in here, helped us get our shit together, because we really were. We really weren't. I wasn't a writer. I got hired as a writer. I was an artist. But we put our work in and had a blast. And Don came in and hooked us up. And then and Diane was one of those people that I'd seen in BMX action for years. You'd show up there in the shoots wearing the Oakley glasses, and yeah, so it was just amazing to show up there and meet all these people and get to actually work with them and collaborate with them to come up with what we did. And forever grateful to be part of the BMX family. And that's all. Just thank you to everyone, really. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm batting cleanup. You may know me from the magazine masthead as Dawn Boy. That was 40 years ago. And this is what can happen to you when you become a minister and you eat too many potlucks with church functions and everything. But the start of my professional career was joining the cult of Wizard Publications, which is a startling admission for an ordained minister. But I came under the influence of Bob, and while he said he never really said anything, he didn't really need to. I call it osmosis. He had a way about him. He had this vision, passion, collaborative spirit that was infused in me and Lou and Andy and Diane and all the rest of the staff. We knew what we were to do. We were to be better the next issue than the last one. And for me, it was relearning English. Even though I have a 4-year communications degree, I had a couple of very worthy and teachable students, but they taught me a lot. And part of the specialness of the relationship that we cultivated over a few years was some English rules are made to be broken. and that would be heresy before I joined the staff. But it really was heart and passion for and love of the sport that drove Freestylin magazine and these guys to do what they did and put it on paper and make it better every single issue, as long as freestyling was around. So, and I, as have been an ordained minister for nearly 35 years now, my Wizard publications and freestyling experiences have informed my life. My time on the staff was personally healing for me, and I felt a part of the family. And I was so touched when Gork called me and said, "You're going to be part of the team that's inducted into the BMX Hall of Fame." And I'm like, "Who, me?" That was 40 years ago. And yet, I've carried this with me. I've carried you with me. It was always about you. And I think that has been the spirit of what the magazines that Bob Osborn has put out. It was always about the reader. It was always about the kids. It was always about their parents, giving people something to aspire to and be inspired by. That was the deal. And that's what drove us for years to keep putting out superior product. And by the time we got a new issue back from the publisher, we were already 3/4, if not all the way through the next issue. And look at that and sort of toss it aside because it was old news. There was something new that was brewing, and that was the constant stream of what was happening in that magazine world. And it messed me up for years, as I've told a few people, because I could never truly enjoy Christmas because I was always thinking about April and the April issue. But, it is such an honor to be a part of this team. The collaborative spirit of this has guided me throughout my journey to where now, as a minister, I am a hospice chaplain. And through the experiences of loss in my own life, I'm able to go and comfort other people. And so whatever you put your hands to, you're gonna, because of your experiences with this sport and with each other, you're gonna be better for it. And I know you already are. But thank you so much for this really very surreal honor. Several people asked for my autograph today. I felt like a celebrity. I know I'm not. But I'm so very touched by this, being reunited with these people that I've loved for all these years. And I'm just really eternally grateful to you all. So God bless you. Thank you for this honor. That would look better.
So this Hall of Fame has an interesting protocol to get in. We have committees, and we have the people send in nominations. And like many Hall of Fames, we'll get these nasty grams like, "Why isn't my uncle in your Hall of Fame? He can wheelie for a mile." But most of the nominations are very heartfelt. And when I became aware there was a Hall of Fame, I was absolutely certain that Bobby Woods had to be in it. See, not only was I a racer back in the day, but I was also a fan the entire time. And that's one of the great things about BMX, Tracers. You can race the people that you're a fan of and line up with them. And right there on the gate, you're dead even with them. And so it's kind of cool. And but Bobby's has been one of those nominations. Foreigner just got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know. I mean, maybe Hall of Fames have some issues. But for me, this is one of the great ones. It's my 16th year in a row, 18th year in a row doing this. And to be able to stand and induct my friend, he's a Hall of Fame racer, but he's an even better human. Let's roll the video for Bobby Woods.
so many other Valley kids in the mid-'70s, Bobby Woods got hooked on BMX at the Valley Teen Center in Van Nuys, California. And that first win, at his first race, would become a life-changing moment. After a solid winning streak as a beginner aboard an R&R replica with a coaster brake, Woods was getting smoked after turning novice and was about to quit. But after purchasing a Cook Brothers from his eventual sponsor, Europa Bike Shop, Freewheelin' Bobby began winning races again and soon caught the attention of Robinson Racing Products. Just 2 years later, at the 1979 JAG BMX World Championships in Indianapolis, Woods won both 16X and the Trophy Dash, crowning him the second ever BMX World Champion. Robinson Racing created a larger, pro-size frame with an American bottom bracket and named it the Bobby Woods Signature Model. On that frame, Woods would turn pro and win in his rookie debut at NBA's Great Race in Chicago. Living the life of a BMX pro, which happened to be the license plate on his tricked-out Datsun mini truck, he and Hall of Famer Bobby Encinas continued to hone their skills at Valley Teen Center, and then would cruise Van Nuys Boulevard after the races. Woods was doing well in pro, but his sponsor knew there wasn't much more he could do for him. Chuck Robinson called his good friend, Mongoose founder Skip Hess, with a serious recommendation. You've got to pick up this kid. So, out of the blue, at the Pontiac Silverdome race, Woods got a call from Skip that he was now sponsored by Mongoose. Bobby went on to become Western States champion in the pro class and had his moments of pro glory, such as 6th place in a heavily stacked main event at the 1980 ABA Summer Nationals in Amarillo. But his biggest and best result came in 1982 in Pennsylvania, winning the NBL Grands, ahead of Stu Thompson and Jeff Ruminer. Wherever and whenever he raced, you never, ever counted out Bobby Woods. While the crash at the ESPN series in Burbank put a stop to his two-wheeled racing career, it simultaneously opened the door for four wheels, as in racing in open-wheel Formula cars. Still backed by Mongoose, Bobby entered the inaugural Formula Mazda series, scoring second place at the Long Beach Grand Prix opener. Years later, Bobby returned to the bicycle business as owner of Studio Cycle Company, and most recently opened a second store, Adventure E-Bike Company in Thousand Oaks. After coming so close in Hall of Fame voting these past few years, now, right this minute, the time has finally come. Join us in welcoming the long overdue induction of a true BMX legend, Bobby Woods.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it's really cool to be here. Yeah, thank you, USA BMX, Shannon, Jennifer, Gork, everybody, man. I really thank you for having me. I just want to set one thing quick. PK, do not tell me to talk loud or this way or that way. I got it, okay? What? Yes. Well, thank you. And also, I'm sure Johnny Johnson's back home fact-checking, but that's all right. I just want to say one thing really quick. We all lost a good friend, Harry Leary. So I just want to give a toast to Harry real quick, if that's okay for everybody, please. Good man. It's always hard to lose one of our family members, so yeah, thank you. My racing career basically started in North Hollywood. I lived right off of Whitson, Van Owen. You know where that's at, right, PK? The kid around the neighborhood had a little bike. I saw it. It looked cool. I didn't have a bike. So he took me to the teen center one night so I can borrow his bike just for practice. And then right after that, it was pretty much over. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Next day, I bought a bike at a local shop, R&R replica, and I went out and just started racing at the teen center. That's all I really wanted to do. I always wanted to race, whatever it was. And then after that, I kept beginner. I won every single race. Whew, I'm the best. Jesus, can't go wrong. I went to novice. I couldn't win a race for months. And that was okay, because I knew I sucked at that time anyway. But how the whole story started with this and how it ends kind of here as the next chapter, there's two people sitting right there, Ernie Alexander and Suzanne Claspy. Without them, I would not be gone and traveled and went around the world, and none of us probably would have, along with a lot of other guys. But I just think I owe a lot to Ernie and Suzanne for everything they did for us as kids. I mean, my mom gave Ernie $800 or $600, and we went around the country for 3 months with somebody she never met. She never met this guy. She gave him $600, take him, it's fine. Ridiculous. I would not do that for my daughter right now. No way. Jeez. But remember all my heroes. There's a lot of them here. There's a lot of guys in here that I look up to. I did look up to, and I still do. At the 77 Grands in Chatsworth, I remember I was hanging on the fence. I had my Yamaha jersey, and I'm watching these guys, pro guys. You know, you got David Clinton, Stu, and the Pattersons. When I saw the Pattersons, and I saw their outfits and the colors, they just look like they were pro. They were pro, obviously, but they were just the epitome. And I go, I want to be that guy. I want to be David Clinton. I want to be Stu. And I still say that when I see them. When I'm next to those guys, I like, how am I hanging out with you guys? You're amazing. But they're just my friends, and we just get along really well. The next thing was, I went through an era. I started with Europa, got lucky enough to get on with Robinson, and then Skip Hess right there in Chatsworth. I wanted to be on a team that was close to home. Everything I had was close to home. Huffy wanted me to ride for them when I was in Pontiac at that event. And I told them, there's no way I'm racing for Huffy. I was not going to race for Huffy. They didn't have anything I didn't know. Skip Hess got a call from Chuck, like you heard, and he called me in Pontiac. And that was a day that I was like the happiest guy in the world, because I got to race for Mongoose. And, it was just the greatest thing, because I would ride my bike or drive my car, whatever, up to Chatsworth. I'd go in the warehouse, I'd grab a shopping cart, and just start taking stuff off the shelves, because that's where we could take anything we needed for the races. And so as I moved across and raced, Skip was always there. Skip Hess did everything for all of us, man. He did everything for a lot of us here today by building what he built. So I want to thank Skip, obviously, Chuck, and Dennis Davis, who was the owner of Europa, who has passed, but very good people to us, And really why I'm up here, because I just want to thank everybody that has been in my life and who is in my life, all of you guys and everybody that's not here as well. Jeff Kosmala, a very good friend of mine. He's been an advocate and a friend, everything for many, many years. And he's always done really, really well. He's a strong and true, genuine guy. He's going through some battles with health right now. So I just want to tell him that I love him. Yeah, he's a good dude, Of course, my family's sitting here. My mom brought me all over the country. Sharon. Thank you. My wife, Natalie. My daughter, Isabel. Son, Jacob. Stephen. Pam, my surrogate daughter. It's an awesome event. I just like to come here. I've been coming here for years. I've never been here yet till now, but Chula Vista many times. And I only went there. I didn't really care about getting into the Hall of Fame, honestly. I just wanted to go to see all of my friends that I don't get to see. And since they started creating these new events called Dirty Fest and Frogtown, guess what? We get to race our bikes again, our little bikes, So that's a great thing. We get together, and I got my friend Eddie, PK, Donnie Atherton, Tracer, all these guys, Greg Hill. These guys have been friends of mine since the beginning. I've watched them I always wanted to be them, and I'm happy that I'm able to be up here. And I want to thank, again, USA BMX for allowing me to be in this house with everybody else. So thank you.
Best moment ever. So tonight's a celebration, obviously, and we are going to take a moment to celebrate the lives of our Hall of Fame members and those in the industry who left huge footprints in our sport. You know, some people leave a footprint and others leave a butt print. But the people that we're talking about tonight have passed on. And you know, death ends a life, but it does not end a relationship. And these are people that kind of transferred out in the first moto, and our relationship with these people endures. Death ends a life, but not a relationship. And so tonight we'll honor those relationships we had, and we're going to raise a toast for all of these people that have passed away in the last year since the last Hall of Fame. Mr. Darwin Griffin, national #1 cruiser rider. Race-ready owner Lenny Gass, father of Brian. Those who knew Jeff Dane, who was a professional, Jeff passed away in the last year. Team Jags, Dwayne Johnson. Robinson racer, Todd Henry, passed away in the last year. The announcer at the Gold Cup, Mr. Larry Huffman. BMX action test rider, Donnie Building Leaping Jones. And SE's fastest kid from Colorado was Derek Brown, and he's the namesake of the DB4 SE bike. And then most recently, the loss of Harry Leary. And we all miss him, and we're going to take just a moment to watch a video about Harry.
It is with deep sadness that we announce the passing of Harry Leary, a legendary and longtime BMX racer and esteemed Hall of Fame member. Harry died on Saturday, September 7th, 2024, from heat exhaustion in the Arizona desert. He was 65 years old. Harry will forever be remembered for his style, speed, and determination. His impact on the world of BMX racing from when he first began racing in 1974 and competing nearly every year ever since has been profound and enduring. His extraordinary talent and relentless dedication earned him a well-deserved place as a second-year inductee into the BMX Hall of Fame in 1986, where his memory will continue to inspire and uplift athletes and BMX enthusiasts alike. Not only known for his impressive skills on the track while representing brands such as JMC Racing and Diamondback, Harry will also be remembered for his contributions to the BMX industry while working for Western States Imports, Balance, and Marzocchi, as well as founding his own brand, Dirtworks, in the late 90s. Leary's legacy also includes being a BMX track operator in Ontario, California, and Kingman, Arizona, and a faithful worship leader on Sunday's Church in the Dirt services on the national circuit. Harry Leary's legacy will live on forever through the lives he touched, the tracks and trails he blazed, and the hearts that he inspired. Rest in peace, Harry. Your passion and dedication will be deeply missed.
So if you've been around BMX for a while, the great magazines out there before social media, BMX Action, BMX Plus, Super BMX, Action Now, all of the things, the original lifestyle magazine that Dean Bradley had put together that put skating and BMX together and clothing and music. In those pages of Action Now, we got the very first glimpse of our next inductee, a bespectacled, just a young guy that just ripped it, who was shredding up the skate parks in Southern California. And what an honor to be here to induct Jeff Watson tonight. Let's watch the video.
Jeff Watson may very well be the most mysterious rider to ever be inducted into the BMX Hall of Fame. Although his notoriety in the sport might have been brief, during the earliest days of skate park shredding, his inspiration and influence on the BMX scene is immeasurable. Watson's aerial antics in the concrete pools of SoCal laid the groundwork for what would soon become known as the King of the Skate Parks. What is little known about Jeff Watson is that he was originally a BMX racer who'd become a true pioneer of early skate park riding. Frequently riding at Rancho, Colton, Lakewood, and Pipeline skate parks, while working part-time wrenching at Moo's bike shop in Riverside, California, word quickly spread to the BMX photographers about this kid who was blasting huge airs like no one had ever seen before. This led to a cover of Action Now in December of 1980, as well as the cover of Bicycle Motocross Action in May 1981, accompanied with an article making him an overnight sensation. Watson pushed the limits of both the parks and his bike, often obliterating both at the same time. Jeff would team up with Jeff Botima to help build the most indestructible BMX fork ever, and unknowingly forced the bicycle industry to improve their products to something that could last his blasts. Unfortunately, by the time the AFA came along and began putting on King of the Skate Park comps, Watson had already left the scene. But during his time, Jeff set the bar high and inspired the entire first generation of skate park and ramp riders of the mid-'80s. Future legends like Woody Itzen, Mike Dominguez, Eddie Fiola, and Brian Blyther first saw the potential of pushing the limits by watching Mr. Watson. Quite simply, Jeff Watson, in his prime, was way ahead of his time. Accepting the Hall of Fame plaque tonight on behalf of her brother, please welcome Jeff Watson's sister, Susan Strait, and Jeff's daughter, Hala Watson.
Well, we're here repping California, so raise a glass. If you got 'em, drink 'em, as my brother would say. And if you ain't got 'em, I'm gonna get you one right now. Paula and I want to start by saying thanks to you guys, because I'm 3 years older than my brother, and I was around when he was doing that stuff, and I was helping take him to the hospital and all that stuff. Hala wasn't born just yet, but I want to say that being with you all has been a treat for us, because you all told us so many stories over these last couple days. And it's true, you can't see anything up here, and I know I'm not supposed to cuss, but it's been a hell of a thing. So again, I'm sorry to say this, but we got to raise a glass to you guys. Thank you. I'm going to say that today and yesterday got to meet Hugo Gonzalez, who's going to be inducted. And that was a thrill to have somebody like Hugo say he's from NorCal, but he saw my brother in the pages of a magazine. And that's why those magazines were so important, right? Because we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have TikTok. And those indelible images that you just showed us, they live on because of the work of BMX. Shane Fernandez, who's right over there, and I just barely met him, he said that he came to skate when he was 13. Where did you go? To Pipeline, and he said he was all intimidated and nobody would say, he thought nobody. And of course, my brother comes over and he's like, yo, are you gonna do this thing, whatever you said? Because we're from Riverside and we're nice to everybody. So everyone talks smack about the IE, right? And they say we're hardcore, but we're hardcore in the best way possible. And the other person is Eddie Fiola, who I just met, literally. I know you're back there somewhere too. It's nice of you guys to do this because it means a lot to us. The last time Hala and I stood up and did this was for his memorial. So that was tough, but we're gonna be good. And I want to just tell you a little bit about him because he was so crazy, right? And yeah, I'm not going to cuss, but literally every word out of his mouth. Like when he would come to my house and my 3 daughters would be like, what does Uncle Jeff want? Like, why can't he speak? I'm like, he wants you to give him a glass of water, but there are so many F words in that sentence. He's incapable of speech. And they're like, oh, and they're like, Uncle Jeff. And he'd just be like, so I'm going to be good and say that he was like a perfect encapsulation of the time that you're all talking about, wasn't he? Because he did some crazy shit. He really did. In our world now, every moment's captured, right? In thousands of cell phone shots, YouTube, TikTok. But you called him mysterious, and we thought that was very cool.
It was a perfect description.
Yeah. So I thought we'd say a couple things. He gave no you-know-whats before anybody even bragged about giving you-know-whats. He never wore a shirt. It was so cool to see him wearing a shirt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were like, wow, that's interesting. My brother and I were born in a little tiny dusty community outside of Riverside. We weren't even in Riverside. We were in Rubidoux. And my dad and his dad left my mom when I was 3, and she was 8 months pregnant with my brother. He never met our dad. He was a straight, I'm a straight. But my stepdad, who was from Canada, swooped in on the white horse, which was a truck, bought me a Tonka truck, and bought my brother his first skateboard. And we eventually had 11 siblings, half-siblings and step-siblings. And so you all know what I'm talking about, just like Bobby said. We were just out there, weren't we? Skateboarding. I broke my collarbone playing football because that's what we did. We rode off the mountain, but Jeff did things the way no one else did. We were so many feral kids in the neighborhood, but nobody would like ride off the roof of the elementary school to test the forks of the bike, except for Jeff. And seeing those pipes, right? One day he decided he was going to ride down Mount Rubidoux, and it has a 100-foot, painted C. Not Mount Rubidoux, Big C. He rode down cement, straight down cement for 100 feet, and then rode down the whole mountain. And then he was like, these forks held up pretty good. So Holly's going to tell you how he used to destroy the bikes.
Okay, very nervous, by the way. Not my thing to be up here and do this, but
destruction, we can do
yeah,
that.
we can talk about destruction. My dad loved breaking things, and I think that's why they sent him the things they sent him. They were like, hey, could you destroy this and tell us why it sucks so that we can make it better? And he was always like that, even as, afterward. He would always just find a way to destroy stuff and make it better, and the forks are there because of that.
Yeah. The fearlessness extended to everything, and I do have to say, my favorite images, Hollis got his red bike tires, and he had red bike tires because...
So he used to tell me the story that he would go to the skate parks and they told him he couldn't be there anymore because when he would ride the BMX bike in the empty pools, it would leave the marks on the wall, and the skateboarders were all angry about it. So he's like, fine, I'm gonna change to red tires. And because of that, he was able to do it without leaving marks.
Yeah. All right, so even though I love that he put his glasses on always, there's pictures of us when we were little, and he's always holding a gun, and I'm always holding a book, and none of that ever changed. I became a writer, and he became everything else.
Wild man.
He was a wild man. So I'm going to tell you one little story, and there's a slightly illegal part in it, and I'm really sorry about that, but it's not my fault.
Welcome to BMX.
So he was riding still, and it was close to the end of this period that you're talking about, and he was riding, but he was also a farmer at that time, and he was growing a really good crop that you could make a lot of money at now. But he was growing it. I actually destroyed his first crop because I was like, I don't want you doing this. And he went out to the bike shop, and he came back, and I had killed all his plants. And he was like, what happened? I was 17, and he was 14, and I said, it was an act of God, man. I saw them, and then I came back in, and it was a hot day, and they were just dead. And he was like, damn, I got to make that better. So, yes, he made it much better. And what happened was he came to pick me up from college on the East Coast. He flew to Connecticut, and he had never flown on a plane before, and he had a duffel bag, and he got to my rental house, and he had 10 pounds of his crop in the duffel bag. And then we were in Amherst, Massachusetts, and the entire town was much happier the next morning. And they asked me, could we stay? And I was like, because he had gone to sleep with some guys next door, and I was like, why is everybody so crazy and why are they eating so much? Like, what is happening? The next night we were in Philadelphia, samesies. He went to a bar and then they were like, please don't leave, ever. And they were like, he's the magic man from California. So we drove all the way across the country and we came through Oklahoma. But I don't know what we did here. I don't remember. I don't remember at all. The point I'm making is not anything except for to say that what Hala and I were talking about is that everything my brother did, everything her dad did, he did it better than anybody else. And nobody ever knew about it, right? Because he was mysterious. So 18 varieties of that magical crop, 18 varieties. And then he became a house painter. He painted vintage Victorian houses. The thing my brother was really good at, he wrecked 8 vehicles, totaled them, and he never got a scratch. Physically, he was amazingly resilient, as you can see from this, although I'm sure my mom would beg to differ. We broke so many bones. We had so much going on. But whatever he did it better than anybody else at that time. So it was a thrill for us to see you all today. And I want to say personally, being out there on the track today, it was just such a joy, right? So all those little kids, 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and then seeing the bunny hop competition, you guys you're pretty amazing. So Hala's going to tell you, she wants to tell you one more story. Yes.
About?
The way you got to live your life. Your favorite.
No. I think what it all comes down to for me is that you guys have helped me learn more about my dad, which was something very important to me. And I've heard so many good stories. You guys have, like, honestly been a family. You've brought me in to explore, like, who he was and what he did. I always knew, but I didn't really know. And seeing how you guys have come up to me and just been like, oh, I know him, I knew him, he was cool. Like, he did stuff that nobody ever did before. That it has literally changed things for me. So, thank you.
Yeah, and the way you guys have honored us, again, I have to say thanks to everybody from the staff, the dinner, again, watching those kids on the track, all the parents that still love everything we do for family. So thanks for making us part of your family. Good to see you.
All right, let's say thanks to our sponsors here. If we can roll the video on our sponsor reel. Sponsors, Commit Agency, Hyper Bicycles, RemixBMX.com, Rob Lane, the most amazing collector. What a guy. Commit Agency again. Fact or Freestyle. That's awesome. And Fly Racing. Thank you, Ray Hudson. Monster Tour Water. Good stuff. It's from deep in the earth. Race Inc. Marshall Brewing Company. And Dan's Comp. Thanks to the Tulsa Sports Commission for bringing USA BMX here and participating. The Outsiders House, where we have our ride out tomorrow. Stay gold. And all of our foundation members, ABA Ethos, Hardesty National Stadium, Pole, BMX Online, and USA BMX, thank you all so very much. You know, often the first time you see somebody ride, it kind of blows you away. The first time I saw Kim Hayashi, I was coming back into the sport, and I'm like, oh, she's cute. I wonder if her parents race. And then I see her boosting jumps, and she was one of the new wave of riders who really established the female class. And when I saw her jumping and how she rode, and then her intensity, I was blown away. And as a person, She is every bit as good. She flew out to Austin, Texas from Arizona just to work with this little team that I sponsored. And that's the kind of person she is. Hall of Fame rider, Hall of Fame person. Let's watch the Kim Hayashi video.
Following in her brother's footsteps, Arizona's Kim Hayashi discovered BMX racing at the legendary Chandler BMX. Over the next decade, she would make a huge impression on the sport as it entered the new millennium. Kim would amass multiple #1 titles, boost the jumping skills for girls to all new heights, and inspire the current generation of women pros. As a young amateur, Lil Kim won the ABA's national #1 girl cruiser back-to-back in 2000 and 2001. It was that success that caught the eye of Redline Bicycles, a sponsor that would support her for nearly a decade. While donning the red, white, and black, Kim would go on to win an incredible 5 consecutive NBL #1 Elite Women titles, holding on to that #1 Pro Plate from 2003 to 2007. Throughout the 2000s, Kim's winning ways and go big jumping style would inspire every young girl who raced BMX. Future Olympians such as Brooke Crane and Elise Post idolized Hayashi and vowed to someday become as successful as she was. In 2004, Kim became the UCI World Champion, winning the Junior Women's Division. Leading up to the Beijing Olympics, Kim was among the USA's top Olympic hopefuls. In fact, she was highlighted in a 2004 Time Warner coffee table book, Super Women, 100 Women, 100 Sports, being the sole representative for BMX racing. Following her retirement from the pro circuit, with 28 wins from her 117 main events made in ABA, Kim still remains involved in the sport as a coach and team manager for brands like Supercross and Remix. Her eye for talent and ability to relate with younger riders has made Kim a valuable and respected asset to BMX. So please join us in giving a rousing round of applause as we welcome your 2024 Women's BMX Hall of Fame inductee, Kim Hayashi.
Okay, your turn.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I was I was a little nervous this podium would be a little too tall for me, so. Oh my gosh. I just really want to thank USA BMX and for everybody out there who showed their support in putting me up here. When I walked last year was the first time that I came to take a look at the Hall of Fame because I very vaguely remember it being in Gilbert, Arizona. I looked at a bunch of the names up there, and I am incredibly honored and humbled to be standing here. I'm going to go kind of off book. I wrote this whole thing, this whole speech at 1 a.m. last night on the back of the Hyatt Regency Hotel information. But I think a lot of my family members and friends said that I probably speak best from the heart, and so that's what I'm going to do. Probably most of you don't know, my BMX career is fairly short. I started racing in 1998 at the age of 12, and I actually was forced into it. My mother's here. My cousins moved from California to Chandler, Arizona, and found Chandler BMX and got my brother involved, and my lovely mother wanted to do it as a family. And I didn't have a love for bicycles like a lot of you people here sitting today. I was forced into trying BMX by my mom. So I'm internally grateful for her, because without her push, I would not be standing up here today. But back in 1998, I had the opportunity. My dad took us to our first national, and I made the main event as a girl. And it was from that moment on, I think as a family and for myself, realized that I was really good at this BMX thing. For the rest of that year, I tagged along with my brother. We went to nationals, and a week before Grand, I broke my collarbone, and I still ended up NAG 7. So the next year was full force. We trained, I did sprints, and I got picked up. Well, I didn't get picked up. My brother got picked up by Gordy's Bicycles, and Debbie Kelley and everybody here from Arizona know that Gordon Beerworth and Gordy's, Kevin Beerworth and everyone over at Gordy's Bicycles, they're the best shop in the valley, in Arizona. So shout out to them. Without Gordy, Sean McBride, and Kevin, all of them who picked up my brother and have this policy that they pick up the entire family, they were stuck with me. And I tagged along, and very quickly in that same year, I ended up behind this wonderful lady, or young girl, by the name of Ashley Recklaw. Some of you in this room might know who Ashley Recklaw is. If you go to any of the national #1 banners, her name is on there more than I can probably count. One of the only girls who's won national #1 girl cruiser and girl in the same year, and she was who I wanted to be. So much so that I forced my dad to buy me a GT Buck series. It was a pro size, and unlike most BMX racers who are probably here, starting at 12, I went backwards in my bike size. So I started off on a pro size and ended up on an Expert XL. But I wanted to be Ashley Recklaw so bad, and she was the girl that I chased. And by the end of that year, I was going toe-to-toe with her. If anyone remembers the ABA BMX World Championships in San Antonio, I think that's where I put my name on the map. And I, without knowingly, jumped a couple doubles past Ashley and didn't win just one, but beat her twice, riding for Gordy's Bicycles. And from that point on, I wanted to be #1. And I think by the end of that year is when I got my first national #1 girl cruiser title. And the year after, I repeated and did it in a way that a lot of people may have remembered. But at the Grands, there was a decision maker, not necessarily a pro set, and I knew I had to jump it to be able to beat her. And I remember flying through the air as Ashley's going through the rhythm section on the right-hand side, and I'm just praying my bike makes it down. And I get to the backside and come through the last turn, and I win. And that was kind of the icing on the cake for me to go ahead and decide to turn pro at the ripe age of 15 years old. I think, thank you. I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to be able to race against some of the women pro that I had at 15, 16 years old. I truly think that I would not have become the BMX racer that I was if I didn't have that opportunity. And a lot of people ask, or they use the words like, oh, you're iconic, and you set the bar, and you've really pushed women's racing. And I will tell you that I shy away from using those words. I don't really like being up here in the spotlight underneath these lights because what I did was to just better myself as a BMX racer. Many of you have probably asked why I started jumping. That is what I'm known for. And it wasn't because I wanted to soar through the air, I thought it was cool, or I wanted to push women's BMX. It was literally because, as you can tell, I'm 4 foot, maybe 10 and a half, and I've got about 2 feet underneath me as far as my leg length. And pumping was much harder than it was to jump. And my cousin, I saw him and his friends soaring over doubles, and I said, man, that looks way easier than what I'm doing because I'm kissing the ground more than I'd like to. And that's the reason actually why I started jumping. It became easier for me, and from there on out, I didn't realize it, but when I hit the national circuit, there weren't many women at the time or many girls that were jumping. And every race that I ended up going to, I looked at the track and I tried to find every which way to bring more attention to women's racing and girls racing, and I would put myself on the line. I think everybody, Gork knows, my original email address is Crash and Kim, and I did that with ever so grace. So I never expected for people to call me a pioneer and to stand up here. I sometimes don't even know if I deserve to be here, looking at some of the women that I've looked up to over the years. But my journey, even though it was very, very short, starting at 12, turning pro at 15, and being fully retired by 24, I think I packed a lot into my years of BMX. And I think the one thing that I take from it and the most memorable is looking out and seeing all these faces. It was great seeing Cash here. Some of the others, I think I saw Chris is here. He hooked me up with some S&M bars when I was racing. Always seeing BA, Clayton, Debbie. Black Mountain was not my home track. It was Chandler, but it was like my second home. And I think the one thing that I got out of BMX was all the wonderful people. I tried to shake as many hands as possible, take as many pictures. The one thing I do regret is probably basking and enjoying a lot of the wins. I think they went by like a blur. And for me, I just was a kid who fell in love with BMX after not really riding a bike, and truly tried to continuously keep my foot in the door with BMX. And I want to thank Dale Robinson, obviously, for giving me an opportunity to coach the kids on his team, manage a team in the way that I think is fit to help guide kids in the future. I do want to say I'm incredibly proud of these pro women. I think Peyton Ridenhour is here. I've known Peyton since she was a little one, and it's really great to see Elise, Brooke, watching Beth, Saya, all at the Olympics really push the levels and boundaries of women's racing, and gaining all this respect for women's racing is something that I had dreamed of when I had turned pro. I watched lots of people go and want to watch AA Pro. They wanted to go watch Randy Stumphauser, Bubba Harris, and I wanted to make sure that people came to the fence to watch women's racing. A bunch of people I have to thank, one being Gork. Gork is a gentleman who gave me a little short young lady from Chandler, Arizona, an opportunity to ride for one of the best bike companies in the world. Without him, I wouldn't have had the career that I did. And with all of their support from Seattle Bike Supply and Redline Bicycles, I tried to at least represent Redline the best way I could, standing on the podium as many times as I could. So thank you to Gork and everyone at Seattle Bike Supply. I want to thank, obviously, my parents who are here. They have been my rock, my family. My sister's here tonight. My sister has signed autographs for me because so many people had mistaken her for myself. So thank you to my sister, my parents, everybody from my family who supported us. They got drug along as soon as my pro career started. So thank you for being so patient and always having your unwavering support. God, so many people, and I'm running out of time. Really, I just want to thank everybody here for continuously supporting women in BMX racing, supporting the sport overall, and growing it into this beautiful facility that we have here today. BMX is on the map, and I wish I could be a little bit more a part of it, but to see the growth that it's had and to see where it's going to be in the future, I'm just happy and very lucky to have played a little part in all of that. So thank you. I know I'm forgetting so many people, but thank you so much. If I haven't said thank you to your face, thank you again. Incredibly humbled to be up here, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you.
Kim, you probably don't remember this, but at Rockford in 2005, you also were working for a TV station, and you chose to interview me because I had just broken both of my arms. And I'm not sure that promoted BMX in the way we were thinking that it might. Anyway, I have a picture that I show of that moment to all my friends. So I've shown your picture 100 times to my world. So thank you. Thank you for that. All right. You know what? One of the things cool about the Hall of Fame, and all 41 inductees, when they checked in tonight, got one of these. Is that cool? It'll get you out of speeding tickets, free drinks at the bar. And it also has this cool thing in here, which has a lifetime membership to USA BMX. It expires in 2050. And I don't know who put that in there on mine. I'll take it. If I can make it to 2050, that would be golden. I would absolutely take that. So anyway, thank you, USA BMX, for coming up with cool stuff. We have such a cool Hall of Fame, and we do things for the riders and the inductees, but we do things for the public as well. And anyway, so we're thankful for that. Well, this will be like deja vu. Our next freestyle inductee, and they have t-shirts made with his name on it. Hugo, Hugo, Hugo. He's from Northern California. He was sponsored by Skyway, and like every one of our inductees tonight, he did something new for the sport, and he took the sport to new heights. Let's watch the lights with the Hugo video.
Way back in 1977, in San Jose, California, the Gonzalez brothers of Hugo and Oscar discovered BMX. And once the sport of freestyle began, Hugo's go-for-it riding style was a perfect fit. The NorCal scene was highly active in freestyle's formative years, and Hugo's NorCal Trick Team was one of the first freestyle teams in Northern California. If there was big air involved, Hugo Gonzalez was all over it. Quarter pipes, half pipes, or skate parks were his thing. So when the AFA began putting on King of the Skate Park comps, Hugo was one of the first pros to sign up. From 1983 through 1986, Hugo was a King of the Skate Parks finalist and was known for always attempting the impossible, such as a fence bounce at Pipeline or insane flyout from the combi pool. Sometimes he proved that it actually was possible, while other times he solidified why it was impossible. Hugo was by far one of the most progressive riders in his era. In the beginning, Hugo was one of GT's first team riders, and then signed with Skyway for the rest of his BMX career. In 1986, Skyway sent Hugo to the IBMXF World Freestyle Championships, in which he won the biggest title of them all. Thanks to his reputation as a wild man, Hugo appeared in every American and foreign BMX publication there was, and deservingly so, got quite a few cover shots and pull-out posters. After traversing the globe doing demos, competing in comps all over, as well as playing Hollywood stuntman in the Walt Disney movie Ask Max, Hugo retired from the rough and tumble freestyle circuit in the late 80s, but his legend lives on. So let's hear it, Tulsa. Let's get wild as we welcome to the stage, Hugo Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. This is amazing. This really is. Geez, where do I start? There's so much to say. There's so many people to be thankful for. There's no way I could memorize everything and put it all together tonight. So I wrote a few things down, and I'd like to share it all with you. First, I'd like to say welcome and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters in BMX. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Hugo Gonzalez. And it is truly an honor and a privilege to be here with you tonight. And I thank you all very much. There's so much to be grateful for. Before I begin, I would like to pause for a moment to remember the great one, Leary. Our deepest condolences goes out to you and his immediate family and friends. We all miss you, Harry. Yeah. We have a great list of people here for you tonight, your class of 2024, and these individuals could not get enough recognition. Bobby Woods. Yeah, Bobby. Kim Hayashi. Mary Strombergs, Jay Miron, the BMX Freestyle Staff, yeah. Deborah Kelley, and finally, Jeff Watson. You made it, Jeff. This is for you, buddy. Congratulations to all of you, and let's give it up for your class of 2024. We also have here tonight two very special guests. Well, there's more than two, of course. I'd like to pick out two specific individuals, and we all know and love them very much, and are here with them. You all know them. Mr. Bob Osborn and Matt Hoffman. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We're always very happy to see you both. Thank you for coming. First, I would like to thank God, our Heavenly Father, and our Lord Jesus Christ, for they have blessed me and healed me and saved me from death many times. Yes, He has. Yes, He has. And I thank you, Lord, for taking great care of me so I can be here with you all tonight. Thank you. Second, I would like to thank my parents, my aunt, my grandmother. For if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. For they have made great sacrifices for me, and they're all now in heaven, and I miss you all so much, and I see you soon. Third, to my brothers, Hector and Oscar, who are here tonight with me, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your relentless, never-ending, ongoing support, your passion for the love of BMX freestyle, and your patience with me. Thank you, guys. You guys are my biggest fans. To USA BMX, to Gorg, Shannon, Jennifer, and Scott, and the entire Hall of Fame committee, and to all the Hall of Famers, heroes, and legends, and there's so many of you to list, Eddie King, Perry Kramer, Donnie Atherton, TJ, Woody, Eddie, Mike, Brian, my brothers and sisters in BMX. Thank you so very much for welcoming me into your family, into your home, and into BMX heaven. It is truly an honor. Thank you. Next, I would like to thank GT Bikes, my first full-time factory sponsorship. For me, it was a golden opportunity and it meant everything. To Gary Turner, your GT Performer, was such a beautiful bike and I loved riding that bike every day, and I thank you, Gary. To Richard Long, who passed away a while ago, he gave me my first ride. You were very kind and generous with me, and you always made sure I was taken care of. Thank you, Rich, and we miss you. Next, I would like to give a very special thanks to Skyway Recreation, my last full factory ride. To Ken Cosner, Perry Kramer, Ren Stolt, and John and Chuck Rodman, thank you guys for giving me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You allowed me to continue to live my dream. Your Skyway TA was always amazing to ride, and no doubt the best bike I ever rode. Your kindness and generosity was second to none, and most important, for believing in me. Thank you again, guys, from the bottom of my heart. It has been my honor to ride for you. To my co-sponsors, Everett Rosecram of Vans Shoes, the Duke of Oakley Products, Bob Harrow from Harrow Designs, and Bob Hadley of Redline Products. Thank you so much for the incredible opportunity, for the great product, and your generous support. It has been a great privilege. Thank you. I would also like to thank my Skyway teammates, Maurice Meyer, who's here tonight. Yeah, Maurice. Scotty Freeman, Eddie Roman, Robert Peterson, Dave Vanderspeck, and Matt Hoffman. Thank you, guys. You guys were all great. We had some great times, and I really enjoyed riding with you all. Thank you, guys. And to my friends and teammates across the pond, Craig Campbell, Carlo Griggs, Neil Ruffle, who passed away a while ago. Thank you for making my time with you very special. I miss you guys. And to the boss, Jamie Bestwick, you're still the man, my brother. And next, I would like to call out the riders of the NorCal Trick Team, John and Bill Manfroy, Pete Reeves, Dan Murray, Matt McClurg, and Bob Gray. One of our founders who passed away recently. I want to thank you guys for your commitment, loyalty, and dedication to the team, and especially making it an awesome experience and one of the best trains in Northern California. Thank you, guys. And to my fierce rivals, I have quite a few. Eddie Fiola, Mike Dominguez, Brian Blyther, Xavier Mendez, Ron Wilkerson, and Dennis McCoy. I want to thank all you guys for schooling me, for I was a student and you guys were the master. You guys taught me so much. Eddie, you taught me how to flow with grace. You made it all look easy and you never made mistakes, and you were a true perfectionist. I failed that course. To Mike Dominguez, he taught me how to let it go and just send it. And I tell you, nobody can send it like you, Mike. I did my best, but I think you had that covered. And to Brian Blyther, he taught me how to be smooth. Oh, how I wish I could be as smooth as Brian. I was never even close. And to Xavier Mendez, who taught me how to have fun and not worry about it, especially when competing. I can assure you that was the most difficult time for me. I don't know how you did it, but I never figured it out. And to Ron Wilkerson, who he showed me how to be a showman. Because you are a great showman, Ron, an unstoppable force, and you pushed me harder than anyone. Because you are NorCal. Thank you, Ron. And to Dennis McCoy, the real McCoy. He taught me, you got to really want it. You got to really want it bad. The problem was he wanted to win more than anybody else. You guys are all great and my dearest friends, and I thank you all. And to all my fans, and to all those who voted for me and been with me for the longest time, this is for you. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. You know, I've been asked by a few, and I'm sure you want to know, riders that came up to me and asked, how'd you ride at that level, overcome the fear, and do all those things? Was drugs or alcohol ever a factor? And I can assure you that was never the case. It all came down to this, just two things. It was always all or nothing, and my love for BMX freestyle. That was it. If I didn't come home beat up, banged up, bruised up, or broken up, means I didn't try hard enough. And you all know that to perform your best, you have to be at your best. And I really wanted to be one of the best, to be one of the greats and one of the legends. Like all these guys that are here tonight, and nothing meant more to me, nothing. And now I can finally say, can I say it now? Is it official? Thank you, Lord, finally, now I am. Thank you all very much and have a great evening.
All right, good job, Hugo. 1976, there was an article published in BMX News, and the question was asked, will BMX ever be in the Olympics? And we concluded, nah, probably not. And a little bit later, it came true through dedication and hard work and application and a dream that so many men and women followed through with. The Olympics began, I believe, in 2008 in Beijing. We've had 5 sessions of that. Anybody watch the Paris Games? I can't see you, so I'm assuming you're all raising your hands. Man, that was awesome. We had 2 women in the final. Elise almost was in second in the first turn. She's obviously a future Hall of Famer at some point. And then Cam Wood, fellow mongoose rider, made it to the men's main and got beat by 3 Frenchmen, which was a great race. We didn't like the outcome, but if you just judged it on the race, it was phenomenal. And then Joris Daudet, 6-time #1 USA BMX Pro Champion, finally getting a medal in his 4th try. How many people give up? And Joris, although a champion, took him 4 tries to get what he wanted, and 16 years of waiting, and he got a gold. Which, that perfectly segues into our next inductee for the class of 2024, and this man is a stallion, and he makes me feel inadequate in many ways. My wife has a poster of him, so I just thought she was a BMX fan. Anyway, let's roll the video.
First and foremost, Maris Strombergs is the first 2-time Olympic gold medalist in BMX, winning the Beijing Games in 2008 and London in 2012. Now, while we could just do a mic drop here and end his bio with those stats alone, there is so much more to this Cinderella story. Born in Valmiera, Latvia, Maris discovered BMX in his home country during the 90s and quickly fell in love with the thrills and spills of bicycle motocross. A positive sign of his future success could be told when he won Amateur World Champion in Challenge class in '96. Hard work and training would eventually pay off when he became European Junior Champion in 2005. And with the Olympic debut looming in the future, Maris continued to impress with a 3rd place at the 2007 European Championships. Domination was near, and thanks to his Latvian coach and serious training program, 2008 would be his year. First winning the Euro Champs, then following it up with the UCI World Championship. That meant that Maris would race the Beijing Olympic Games with a world #1 on his plate, making him a medal favorite. While riders from 20 different countries did their best to keep up with the machine, nobody could match his strength and speed. And the first ever gold medal was his, making him a national hero back home. After winning everything there was in Europe, Maris set his sights on the American race scene and began competing in both the ABA and NBL series, now representing free agent bicycles. In 2009, he'd become NBL #1 pro and repeated again in 2010. That same year, he'd also earn his 2nd UCI World Championship. U.S. announcers and fans began calling Strombergs the Machine as he continued to effortlessly crank out win after win wherever he went. At the start of 2012's London Olympic Games, Strombergs was among the favorites as the defending gold medalist. But by this time, he had much closer competition from Australia, the Netherlands, Colombia, France, and the U.S. While he breezed through qualifying, Maris didn't look as dominant as he did in Beijing. That is, until the drop of the main event gate. Suddenly, for the final, the machine turned his dial past 11 and did his best to hold off Australian Sam Willoughby for the gold. Now, as the first 2-time gold medalist in BMX, Strombergs became a Latvian national treasure. Over the next 6 years, the machine kept up his winning ways on the USA BMX circuit and won the European Championships again in 2013 and 2014. Still, there was one title that had eluded Strombergs. And finally, in 2014, he won the Grands and became USA BMX's #1 pro. Having won every BMX title possible, in most cases more than once, Maris the Machine settled down in the rolling hills of Temecula, California with a wife and kids, and retired from BMX racing in 2018. But the BMX world will never forget the Latvian legend, who made a lasting mark on the American BMX scene. While Maris is unable to join us tonight due to being in Latvia, he has sent us a video to express his gratitude for being an inductee.
Not really sure where to start, but yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't be there in person as I'm visiting my home country with my family. And but just wanted to say big thank you to everyone that voted me in. Not gonna lie, it came as a big surprise, because like I said, I still feel like I retired just yesterday. But if you think about it, it's been almost 6-7 years, so time really flies, and feel very honored. Yeah, so I wanted to say big thank you to everyone that voted me in, and I guess I can finally say my career is it's a final step, final step, the Hall of Fame, and which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so again, huge thank you to everyone, and also the USA BMX. And again, what I just wanted to bring myself back where it all started for myself back in 1993 when I started riding bikes when I was 5.5, and I still remember to this day when my dad brought me to the track for the first time. I saw the pros at that time, older guys hitting those big doubles, and I never got on the track the first session. I cried the whole hour. My dad just wanted me to watch, and I cried, and I said, this is not for me, and he took me home. I never tried, never got on the track, and then I think it took probably 3-4 weeks. I walk up to my dad, he's like, hey Dad, can you take me again to the track when nobody's there? And here I am, 2024, what is it, 31 years later, sitting right here and getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. So, which is really crazy to think, and especially going back and thinking how far Latvia itself was from the top level in BMX back in the day, because we were so far behind the other countries like France, Netherlands, and back in the day, like I said, we didn't have there was no internet, you can't just look up gate videos on YouTube, right, real quick, what's the right way to do it. So my coach and all the older riders back then, they used to travel to, let's say, that one race, the European Championship, and they see all these guys, that's what they do, they warming up with a wheelie in the parking lot. So he came back home, literally just practiced the whole year, and then they go back the next year, it's like, they can do this now, and then they came back again and brought that to Latvia, and that's how it took us years and years to catch up, and thinking to where we were, and then what we were able to accomplish in a short period of time. I honestly have no words for it. I mean, it's pretty awesome, and obviously I was just a kid, and then I want to give a big shout out to my coach as well, because he was part of the older crew back then that really they grew the sport in Latvia, and we as the kids we just try to follow their lead, and here we are. My first experience racing in the United States, I think, was when I was 16. We always used to, I wouldn't say always, but that's where we kind of first time get a chance to come to Florida. That was our spot in the beginning, to come maybe for a 3-week training camp, and we try to squeeze in a race here and there, and that was my kind of first experience. And I was obviously racing a pro back then as a young kid, and but the first real, honestly, the wake-up call was, I wouldn't say a wake-up call, but when I came here after winning my first gold medal. It was 2009. It was in, I think the race was in December, I can't remember. I think it was Reno, the indoor, yeah. I think it was early January. And obviously back home it's winter after Olympics, you had some, you celebrate, you don't really put as much work in, and you come out here, and then, as a gold medalist, and I just got a new sponsorship free agent, and obviously the first race didn't go that well. Yeah, I don't think I made it to the main event. I think it was quarterfinal and semi, and then my team manager he started questioning himself too if he made the right call signing this guy from overseas that they kind of knows, but he's kind of, from another country, and, he wasn't so sure about his decision, right, at the moment, but I told him, hey, we'll be all right, don't worry, yeah. And obviously I think that we kind of settled in. Next weekend was the weekend off, and then starting from that point on, I think the race was in Phoenix, Arizona. Forgot what city. It was in the Black Mountain. It was the I can't remember. I can't recall it now. Yeah, but And then it just, the rest is kind of the history. I won the back-to-back days, and then it just, then the machine was born, the machine was born. Let's go back, let's go back to the first Olympics. I think that was, and again, the way the whole thing happened, I still remember to this day. I think I was 16 when I read it on a newspaper. I was in my dad's work. He used to own a shop back then. And I read it on newspaper. It's like, that's awesome. BMX is an Olympic sport. Somebody's going to go and compete for the gold medal, which is great. And then at that point, I never thought it could be me. And I think I was 16. At that's around that age, 15 or 16 I was, And then I just kept going about my business, just riding, trying to get better each day. And then I was junior, I did well, but I didn't quite win the worlds. And finished the high school, and then at that point it was, I was the youngest kid in the group I was chasing at. My coach, he was still racing at that time. He was the older, I was the most experienced guy. We had Madison's, he was 2 years older than me. At that time, they were all slightly faster than me, so I was still chasing them 2.5 years before Olympics, right? And then, and my goal was just to see if I can make it. And the first year I did all right. I'm pretty sure I was still third in the points for a country. And then literally a year before Olympics, it just everything just kind of clicked, and and then just took off. I started winning races. The confidence just kept growing and growing. And the next thing I know, I'm the world champion that year, three months before Olympics. And I never really thought of it. And back then, I still remember, my girlfriend back then, she, maybe 3 weeks before Olympics, she brought that question up. It's like, hey, not the question, but she told me, it's like, hey, you know that you're actually the favorite going into Olympics. And honestly, till she said it, it never really crossed my mind that, as a current world champion back then, and that I am one of the favorites going in. But it didn't feel that way because I was still the youngest guy on the team. And I was, if I recall right, I think I was the second youngest guy or third youngest guy in the whole field, in Olympic field. And so I felt like there's really no pressure, because a lot of people in my country as well, they thought, he's the young guy, he's going to go in there, probably going to get schooled. It'll be a great experience for him for the next Olympic Games. And that's why it helped me in a lot of ways, because it took a lot of pressure off of me. And I just kind of showed up, and I was enjoying every moment. We were practicing, we were putting, I still remember we had multiple sessions on the track, and it was hot, and we Latvians, we just kept showing up for every practice. A lot of guys were like, it's too hot, we done, you gotta save some energy for the race. We're like, hey, we making the most of it. We were just out every session, just practicing, putting the first, second straight efforts in and all that stuff. And then it just kept going, just kept racing, and then one lap at a time, and obviously till the main event happens. You walk up that gate, you have lane one, and then you realize, it's your time. Then you kind of realize, okay, maybe I am the favorite, and then but that's part of the sport. It's just way we can deal with that pressure, how we can manage the moment. And I was fortunate enough, I wouldn't say fortunate, but looking back at the lap, I don't think it was the cleanest lap or the cleanest gate, but like I said, I did enough from the lane one to win my first Olympic gold medal. And it didn't get easier after that, I can tell you that. When I was younger, or even all the way till up, was probably won my second gold medal in London. I never really thought about any things, because you were kind of living in the moment. I was racing in America. I was living my dream, because it was always, growing up, it was always my dream to eventually move to America and compete in the United States with the best riders in the world. And but I always go back, and I always tell kids, there's three things. If you follow these, not even follow, but if you just remember those three things, what I feel like it helped me to get, to achieve what I achieved in the sport, is belief. You got to believe in yourself, because that's just, you know, because you're always going to be ups and downs. You gotta believe in yourself. There's no way around it. Work ethic, and what I mean is, at the highest level of the sport, it comes down to all those little details. What time you wake up, you know, what you eat, do you show up for your training sessions in time, right? All those little things that happen, you, like I always say, you got to earn the luck. Yeah, it's not given. Yeah, when in the sport you always get tested, and then you always got to earn that. And the third thing is surround yourself with good people. Keep the circle very small. That's what I always did, and make sure those are the people that want you to get better. They want the best for you, and then I think those three things will get you far in life, not just in sport, but in life itself. Yeah. So, to me, belief, work ethic, and surround yourself with good people, and good things will happen. Yeah, the Hall of Fame, like I said, it never really quite crossed my mind. You know, you're always so wrapped up and busy about, you know, focusing on just racing, trying to win or trying to achieve your goals, and then Hall of Fame kind of happens later in life. Yeah. And honestly, at one point I felt like I was so far away from the BMX itself that it just never really crossed my mind that there's anything left to do in a sport. And then I got the phone call, hey, you're inducted in the Hall of Fame. So I was like, I guess there was one more thing left left thing to do, left thing to achieve. Yeah. So which was pretty awesome. And then, like I said, I'm very honored for that. Yeah, well, obviously, you know, this whole thing, I mean, the whole career, Hall of Fame, Olympic gold medals, world titles, USA BMX title, it wouldn't be possible, you know, without my parents, friends, and also, you know, say big thank you to my wife, and obviously the sponsors, the team manager back in the day, Dale Holmes, they gave me a chance. He was pretty much the only guy after Olympics that hit me up and say, hey, you want to move over here? We're gonna sponsor you, and you give you a chance to come out here and you know, showcase your skills. And so big shout out to Dale, free agent, for, you know, giving me that, you know, trusting in me back then. And also big thanks to USA BMX for putting on a great series and giving us a platform. All the riders from not just another, you know, all the riders from other countries, the local riders, everyone, you know, the great series, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So also, like I said, yeah. Again, thank you all the people that voted me in. Big thank you for that. And I guess the machine is officially out, officially in, and at the same time I'm out. Yeah. So. Thank you very much.
That was pretty awesome. A couple shout outs before we go further. Jackie Altizer and Jennifer Gillette do so much for this Hall of Fame, and I've been sitting with them tonight, and they've been there every step of the way, supporting this deal, and they just work tirelessly, and Shannon Gillette as well. The whole crew does, but I got to sit with them tonight, and I adore them, so thank you for that. Todd Lyons says, ride a bike, it'll take you places. And the voice of our videos tonight is a BMX racer, and he found entrepreneurship, and he wanted to do voiceover, and he's a close friend of mine. And today, through BMX relations and his ability to talk, he is not only the announcer for the videos on the Hall of Fame, but he's also the lead announcer for the Tampa Bay baseball team. And so, you know, that's Jason Lycum from Milwaukee, and one of the best guys I ever met. So I love to watch the speeches, and the last couple of years in the freestyle division, a couple of people said, hey, there's somebody who should be here before me. I know that TJ mentioned that. And I thought that was interesting when somebody says that. Ryan Nyquist said it again last year, that Jay Miron should be in front of me. And what an exciting time to bring on one of the most dynamic riders in the history of two wheels. Let's watch the video for Jay.
Known worldwide as the Canadian Beast, Jay Miron was introduced to 20-inch wheels in 1982 at the ripe age of 12. By the time he hit his teens, Jay would become one of the most versatile freestyle riders on the scene, competing in flatland, vert, dirt, and street events. His time in freestyle spanned from the early outlaw contests up to the televised superstar era of X Games and Do Tours. With Jay's technical riding style, he was always one to watch, always pulling new tricks out of his bag, and always in contention for the win. In all, Jay has won 9 X Games medals in vert and park, with a gold medal in the first ever X Games dirt event. He was also victorious in multiple gravity games and is a multi-time world freestyle champion. But what he'll always be remembered for is being the first to land a double backflip on a BMX bike, or the first to land a 540 tail whip on vert. When all was said and done, Jay is credited with inventing more than 30 tricks that are still relevant today. Sponsored by Schwinn in the late 90s, he had his own signature bike in '99 called the Hydromatic Cup. His video parts and interviews in Props, Road Fools, and Schwinn's American Muscle video, all available on VHS, were worn out by viewers from countless rewinds. Forced to retire after an entire season with a torn right shoulder, Jay founded his own BMX brand, McNeil Bikes, and along with business partner Darcy Sakuchi, started up their own distribution company named 10-Pack. He'd go on to publish his own magazine, Chase BMX, and would also become an event promoter, organizing the Metro Jam, an annual contest in Toronto. But perhaps Jay's most influential and longest-lasting contribution to the BMX industry would be co-creating the pivotal saddle with Darcy. The game-changing seat eliminated once and for all the inferior, outdated seat guts of the 70s. Today, 95% of all BMX bikes and many mountain bikes use Jay's patented pivotal technology. From his riding to manufacturing to putting on contests, Miron has done it all and done it at the highest level. You know it, I know it, and all of the recent Freestyle Hall of Famers know it, that Jay's achievements and contributions to our sport are immeasurable. So please, make some noise as we introduce your newest BMX Hall of Famer, the first Canadian to ever be inducted, Jay Miron.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Before I get started, I would like to point out a glaring mistake they made in that video. I did not design or have anything to do with inventing the pivotal saddle. That was Darcy Sakuchi, all himself, but I do remember the day I walked into the office and he showed me the piece of paper with the drawing of it. I thought, oh my God. And we patented it, and it's still going strong today. So thank you so much, Darcy, for that invention. When I was a kid growing up, I rode my bike as much as I possibly could. And if I wasn't riding my bike, I was flipping through the BMX magazines, dreaming about one day being a pro rider. And I'm happy to say that when I became a pro rider, my career ended up becoming far more amazing than I ever could have dreamed. I feel so fortunate to have lived that life, to have spent the entire 20s and half of my 30s flying all over the world with my best friends, doing what I love to do the most. I've been retired now for 19 years, and I still can't believe how much fun it was. The part I didn't really realize, thank you. The part I didn't really realize was getting to travel all over the world and experience and immerse myself in so many different cultures and eat so much amazing food that I had no idea what it was, and getting to see all these incredible places and getting to make friends that I'll have for the rest of my life. That is what I look back on when I think of freestyle. I think of the time I was with Tony Mortensen in Benny Courthouse. We had just ridden a contest in the south of England, and we were driving back to London, or pardon me, south of England. And we saw a sign on the side of the road that says Stonehenge, 20 miles this way. And we thought, really, Stonehenge? So we went and hung out at Stonehenge for the day. And I think about the time I got to walk along the Great Wall of China. And I think about the time I got to see the Roman Colosseum in Nîmes, France, not in Rome. And I Googled it later and found out that there are over 200 Roman Colosseums or amphitheaters all over Europe that I didn't know existed. And I got to eat dinner at the mayor's house in Prague, and I got to do a tour of the Kremlin when I competed in Moscow, something I don't think is being offered right now. But I'm really fortunate that I had my run during a time of peace in the world, and I'm really fortunate that, ESPN decided to make BMX and extreme sports the next big thing in American pop culture right as I was hitting my peak. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. The spring in 1995 really changed everything for me. That's when I got the call and I was invited to ride for the Schwinn team. And then 3 weeks later, I won the first ever X Games. And that was the start of the most incredible time of my life. Riding for Schwinn was so much more than I ever could have dreamed of. The people I got to work with at Schwinn were so hardworking and so dedicated and so focused and so fun to be around, and most importantly, so supportive. I would like to give a very big and very sincere thank you to everyone I worked with at Schwinn Bicycles. In particular, I want to center out one guy, and that's Jeff Schaefer. Jeff was our guy in the head office that directed the entire BMX freestyle program. And the amount of times Jeff went above and beyond the call so that we had everything we needed, it's impossible to count. Whether that's sending bike parts out to us or bikes or overnighting a check because we needed to get the rig fixed and get back on the road, or getting my work visa renewed at the very last second. Jeff always seemed to come through for us, and I'll always be thankful for that. Jeff, he's not here tonight, but I'm sure he's going to see this on video. You're a stud, man, and you're a rock star, and you're a badass, and thank you so much for everything you've done for me. Another guy at Schwinn that played a huge part in my career is John Pova, and he came here tonight to support me. I first met John as just a fellow rider. He was a cool guy from England that I liked to ride with. And when he found out we were putting the Schwinn rig together, he gave a call and said, "Hey, I build ramps. If you ever need help, just give me a call." And we hired him a short time after that to build a box jump and a quarter pipe for our tour rig. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And myself and the whole team absolutely loved it. And then 6 months later, when I got the opportunity to perform the first ever double backflip on a CBS television special, I knew it was John that had to build the roll-in and the ramp. And of course, John built it perfectly. I had visa troubles, and I had to fly back to Canada really quick and get the visa renewed. I showed up late, jet-lagged, tired, and not in a good mood the day before the show, and I had to pull it off. I was contracted to do it. I ended up having a terrible crash warming up the double backflip the night before in the studio, and I woke up a while later in an ambulance. And I didn't know what planet I was on. All I knew is I had to get back to that studio, and I had to assure everyone that I was going to go for it the next day. When I walked back into the studio, the producer of the show had John in the corner having an absolute meltdown. "We are f***ed. You're f***ed. I'm f***ed. Did you see him? Did you see him? He's f***ed." Yeah, sorry, but that's what happened, and I'm not going to apologize for swearing. That's probably why it took so long to be inducted in here, but you know, my mouth never did me any favors. Anyway, at one point during his meltdown, he saw that John was looking past him and turned around to see me walking back in. Oh, hey, Jay. Oh, hey, oh, you're looking good, man. Whoa, that was a nasty crash you had there, but man, you're looking good. How you feeling? And John said, see, buddy? Don't worry, I said. Everything's going to be fine. Jay's got this. John somehow or another calmed everyone down so much with his bullshit that even I started believing I was fine. And trust me, I was completely f***ed. Anyway, keeping in mind that John had nothing to do with Schwinn Bicycles, we hired him to build the ramps and come out there and manage them for us. And he brought me aside and he said, man, are you okay? Because I don't want you to hurt yourself. I need to really know that you got this. And I said, well, let's sleep it off tonight, man, and let's see how I feel tomorrow, because I really don't know. And John said, you know, he said all the right things. And he said, well, make sure you get a good sleep tonight, and we're going to get up in the morning. And he was there for me in the morning. And he coached me through the whole process. And I managed to pull it off, and it ended up being the most important moment of my career. And a few months later, we hired John to be the manager of the Schwinn BMX Freestyle program. Let's hear it for John. That took an enormous amount of work off my shoulders, and that took a lot of pressure off me as well. And it really allowed me to focus on my riding and have the 3 or 4 best years of my career while riding for Schwinn, while having John in my corner. So John, thank you so much, man. It was such a pleasure getting to work with you for those years, and it's such an honor to be able to call you my friend, man. I absolutely love you, John. A few people have already said this tonight, but I would like to thank Oakley Eyewear for everything they did for me. Being a kid growing up, reading BMX Action magazine, idolizing RL and Buff, thinking Dana Duke was about the coolest guy in the world. I had Oakley grips on my bike, and I wore Oakley frog skins, and when I got the call from Oakley that they wanted to sponsor me, it was one of the best days of my life. But what made it even better was when I found out my team manager was Mark Skirdo. Mark Skirdo's a legendary Sheep Hills local. A lot of people know him here. A lot of people love him. The first day I met Mark, he said, I want to bring you out for dinner, and we went to the best steakhouse in Virginia Beach. Mark stopped me before we walked in, and he said, I just want to warn you, Jay, this one's on the O, so go as big as you can. And let me tell you, that ended up being one of the best nights of my entire career. Mark, I absolutely love you, and I miss you, and one of these days Sheila and I are going to get on a plane and come over to Germany and visit you and your family, man. Thank you so much to Oakley, and thank you, Mark, for everything you did for me. Next, I want to thank my business partners at the companies we ran, Jamie McIntosh and Darcy Sakuchi, and all of our staff and everyone that worked for us. I had the time of my life running that company, and I couldn't have done it with a better group of guys. My favorite part of the company was the events we did. I'm so proud of the fact that we did street comps that actual street riders wanted to come and hang out at. And we put on dirt jumping comps that legit trails riders wanted to ride in. And I had so much fun. God, I was tired and stressed out and a mess, but man, I had a lot of fun in those days. So to all the volunteers, to the judges, to the builders, both ramp builders, dirt jump builders, and everyone else, thank you so much for giving me some of the best years of my life. Next, I want to thank my idols. One of them sitting at my table tonight. I want to thank Mike Dominguez. I want to thank Brian Blyther, who's here tonight. And I want to thank Dave Volker. Mike Dominguez, as Hugo said, God damn, you taught me how to go for it, man. damn, he went for it. But I could see in his riding that was a method behind it. He wasn't just flailing. He planned it out and he went for it, and he looked like there was nothing in the world that was going to stop him from doing it. And when I stood up on the deck and got ready to roll in for the first ever 540 tail whip, I thought of Mike Dominguez, and I said, man, be a badass like Mike Dominguez. And I made history that day, trying to act like my idol. And Brian Blyther, we've talked about this face to face. My first time ever going to a huge American competition, the Two-Hip King of Vert in Washington, D.C. And I was so scared to roll in. All the best guys in the world were there. And Blyther rolled in and came across the ramp. And he said, I can tell you're good, buddy, but I know you've never ridden a ramp this big before, have you? And I said, no, man, I'm swimming. And he said, you got to slow down your pump and you got to get runs. And I told him, Brian, I'm afraid, man, like everyone's here. And he said, well, I'm going to put both my feet on the pedals. And when I go to roll in, you roll in front of me. And I did, and I got to do a run. But most importantly, the absolute best rider in the world told every other guy in that deck that Jay gets runs. And I was able to get my runs in and get my practice. And I didn't make the finals, but damn, I had a fun time riding my first ever big time contest. Thank you so much, Brian, for being such an amazing, inspirational hero of mine. I really appreciate it. Lastly, Dave Volker. I was so scared when I found out I was going to go on the road with Dave Volker. He was basically the king of the world, and man, I was like, is Dave going to like me? Is Dave going to be cool? What if he's an asshole? You know, I didn't know what to expect. All I knew was I was going to go on the road with a living legend, and he ended up being one of the coolest guys I've ever met in my life. Not all of it was legal, but damn, we had a fun time. But the most important thing was the next day when we got up, Dave got up early. He got us all up out of bed, and he reminded us why we were there and why we were living our dream. There was a job to do. And we all went to the bike shop, and we got everything set up, and I just watched Dave, how pro he was, how cool he was with the bike shop owner, how cool he was with all the other riders, how cool he was with the kids and all their parents. And I always tried to emulate Dave for the rest of my career. I never could learn how to back up a van and trailer at 30 miles an hour like Dave, but I'm just a mere mortal, and he is Lord Volker, isn't he? Thank you very much to all my heroes. You guys are the best, and oh man, I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys to spend my career with. Lastly, thank you very much to everyone at USA BMX and here at the Hall of Fame. This was a great party tonight, and it was a great thing to be a part of. It's such an honor being able to call myself a Hall of Famer in the sport that I dedicated my life to. Thank you very much to everybody.
Hey, Jay, you're going to want this.
It was that crash on the double backflip that did it.
While we're at it, Debbie, Kelley, I've got yours too. I'll get it to you right after. All right, we're going to wrap up. We have one more person to talk. You know, every so often you meet somebody and you know that they are on a road of a certain destiny. When I met Shane Fernandez, I knew something big was happening in this guy. Lots of people have inspiration. Lots of people put in the perspiration like Shane did. But inspiration alone is not enough. It takes action. And when I met Shane, like he geeked out like most of us, Tracer. Like he was one of us. And let me tell you, he's running the company, but he can ride the heck out of a bicycle. And that's so he knows the bike life behind bars, whatever you call it. But I've become friends with Shane Fernandez. His relatives are from Shawnee, where we all started, and they used to develop our BMX pictures way, way, way back in the day. And so the connection is beautiful and wonderful. And Shane is a man of inspiration, but he also puts in the perspiration and he puts in the action. And that's why a lot of the great things happening around the world right now are coming out of this man. So please give it up for the president of USA BMX, Mr. Shane Fernandez.
Yeah, let's give it up for Cash, right? All right. Gork, thank you for always putting me last between the crowd and the bar. So, my goal is really to talk about, and some of you were here at our very first Hall of Fame in Tulsa to talk about what are we seeing, right? And that's my job. But really, I want to summarize a couple conversations tonight before I start about where we're going. Bob Osborn and I were talking, I can't see Bob, but he and I were talking about last night on the shoulders of giants. And what does that term mean? That's all of you in the crowd, right? You are the heroes, you are the legends, you are the Hall of Famers, you are the heroes at all of the, whether you're a freestyler or a BMXer or some of our foundation kids that have never ridden a bike before, they see your faces in that Hall of Fame and they are aspiring to do something on a BMX bike because of you. So thank you for everything you're doing. The other quote was Debbie. You had mentioned dropping a rock in a pond and the ripple effect, right? So really what I want to talk about is the ripple effect of your legacy. Where are we taking what you all have done and have accomplished, and what have we accomplished with this facility, and what are we seeing nationwide and in the world? I have 1 hour, I'm teasing. I've got 5 minutes, I'm going to try to summarize this, okay? But I'm going to do it fast, and I'm not doing it fast because one of these topics doesn't deserve more attention. I'm doing it fast because there's a lot going on in the ABA that's outside of this track. So, you guys ready? Yeah, can I hear hell yeah? All right. Okay, so first thing, we talk business of BMX. The first thing you have to do is you have to have diversity on the team. Our experts, so our team at USA BMX, our operations team, please stand up. Cody, I see you're ignoring me. The HQ team, Hall of Fame team, Operations Shannon, stand up. Guys, they're the unsung heroes. None of this would have happened without them. None of the things I'm getting ready to talk about would have happened without them and everything you've done. You have to have diversity on a team. Y'all are the experts. The beauty is, I'm the underdog. I'm the wallflower. I'm a nobody. But that helps the direction we're going. I was telling Susan as she was talking about Jeff Watson, and I said, I got so intimidated riding Pipeline because I was just a normal kid. My mom had to have her friend take me to Pipeline because her son skateboarded. I brought my red line, my RL20, and we had riders there, Eddie, Mike, all you guys were there. And when they showed up, I moved way the hell over, right? Jeff actually came over one time and he noticed, and he said something. Andy, small world, you're working with my brother, I think, in Hollywood on something, right? BMX is a small world and it's beautiful, but all of these things mean something with what we're getting ready to talk about. So the difference between creativity and innovation, which is what I challenge the team with all the time, is you can have great ideas about BMX, but nothing happens until innovation happens in which you launch something and we can measure it. You remember the first Hall of Fame, a lot of things I talked about were ideas. We think this is going to do this. We think this is going to do that. We have metrics now, and now we are in innovation mode. So I'm going to go fast, and I'm here all night, so you can grab me afterwards. On the racing side, 2019 is a number we look at that was pre-COVID. We know during COVID, the outdoor industry blew up. Everybody went outside. Our numbers rose. Till today, we still have 7,600 more members than we did in 2019, thanks to our team. So give our race operations team a big hand. This year on U.S. soil, we ran 1 out of 3 World Cups, and we ran the World Championships at Rock Hill. Give our team a hand, right? We talk about accessibility. I look up at those flags. Half of those flags, I think maybe more, are freestyle. One of the things BA talked to me about when we started, he's like, we've got to grow freestyle. You look in our Hall of Fame, it's racing, it's freestyle, it's industry, it's track operators. So right now we're in our 3rd full season. We're empowering amateurs. And at the same time too, I think we've run 4 C1 events to help the Olympians qualify for Paris. We're actually running a C1 event and our amateur freestyle national here in a few weeks in Salt Lake. So right now we've had 3,000 live entries, 17 countries have joined. Brady Baker, who was one of the experts that came out of the series, he's won X Games Gold. Our amateurs that submit the digital portion, so these are kids whose parents can't get them to a park, can't get them to our comps, but they can compete in any park in the world. Brian Kaczynski, who was the Tokyo head judge for freestyle and Paris, judges those kids' videos, right? So we are aligning the progression of riders, whether they have access or not, with the best in the world. And out of that, we've had 250 state championships, and we're at Budapest helping those athletes get there, and we were at Paris making sure that on the freestyle side, our athletes are empowered. The other thing too is we're making sure we're staying innovative for track operators so that they have extra income if they want. I know the E-Series, it's not BMX, I get it. However, in terms of a real estate and a developer, the E-Series, those bikes like to use our tracks. Those track operators on a different series can get extra income on that. In Chandler, they're averaging 25 to 60 riders at their events, and in DeSoto, 25, in San Diego, at Tyler Brown's track, 20 on average. Harley-Davidson dealers across the country are driving people to BMX tracks. So imagine that at every dealership across the country. This facility, since I last talked to you, we're at 120,000 visitors. We have 550 new full memberships. We have 9 schools that have created BMX teams. Tulsa Public Schools has hired a full-time BMX coach. They have grants, they have buses. What do you think about that? We're gonna have Letterman jackets and BMX, right? This keeps going. Spring break, first one, Brooke Crane. I remember she was here and we had 6 kids. As of right now, as we close out summer, we're almost at 4,750 kids out of one facility. Now, if you take a look at the leagues, if you're not familiar with leagues, that's how we capture kids who come to racetracks, right? You get them in the league, and we try to retain them. So nationwide, we had 1,750 riders in league. One facility, this one, had 2,300 new riders on BMX tracks that had never tried BMX. So that's something, 35% Hispanic, 24% Black, 23% white. That's important metrics because we have sponsors and corporations that are funding us now, which I'm getting ready to tell you about. They want to know those numbers. Out of this facility, we've had 50 different events. You guys remember Live Golf was here outside of BMX. So it makes you start thinking, what can a BMX property do from a development standpoint outside of BMX? Well, we're learning on this one because that's a huge revenue source for this. Every one of these, 100% of these events, whether it's a corporate board meeting or you have the Black Wall Street Biker Rally with 5,000 people here with Harley and Indian motorcycles, they're riding the track every time. Our Rise Kids, Cash mentioned that. That's our program to help the underserved youth here in downtown Greenwood. You heard what he said. We had 1 win legacy, 3 podiums at Grands. At the same time in that class, we had one kid say with his BMX bike, he would love to get groceries for his mom. BMX isn't just about the gold medals, as many of us in here know, right? BMX was about freedom and something about independence, getting from one place to another. And we just want to make sure we get kids on bikes and they understand this, right? All right, we all know about sponsorships. We understand this industry. On this facility, 7 figures in terms of sponsorships and grants from corporations that know nothing about BMX and nonprofits that believe in the mission and the stories that you all have created, because we're just telling the stories of how BMX changed lives. And this one facility has generated that much. I'm going to get to the point of how we're going to replicate this and keep growing this. All right, so think about those numbers. On a scalable growth, we hired a national grant writer. The national grant writer now has metrics because it's not just an idea. We have 2 years of metrics. Now we can apply for grants across the country. What if we were to empower 2 other tracks existing and talk about every new track we're designing, implementing freestyle, racing, and all the foundation programs into a facility outside of just activating that? Is that working? Is that idea relevant? Absolutely is. So Los Angeles, how many of you knew that they were trying to can and cut BMX racing for the Olympics? Yeah, some of you did. I was talking to BA about this. We were talking to the UCI about this. We were there probably every other month in front of the gentleman that was pushing this initiative, saying it was too dangerous. Really easy to send crappy text messages or email addresses, right, with a keyboard. Really difficult to sit across the table from somebody. And I just said, hey, this will be the biggeth slap in your face to kill BMX and the place where this started, right? So it's saved. We have racing and freestyle. ABA Ethos, yep. ABA Ethos is our new architecture development arm. We started that 2 years ago. We will be working. We helped LA28 decide on the facilities they're having now. We will be doing those. I'm going to run through this really quick. This facility was $23 million. If you've looked at, I'm putting some reference on scale. Right now, we have active $150 million in terms of master planning for new facilities. These are in Florida, Arkansas, Durango, Louisiana, Southeast Oklahoma, Los Angeles, and the new freestyle facility that is coming here as part of the second phase of this. In terms of track builds, we have other existing tracks that have reached out to expand their freestyle programs. So we're talking Okahili. We did a presentation, or Jennifer did a presentation in front of City Council. We're working with Dothan, Alabama, and you're going to love this. Everything in the Hall of Fame. We have other tracks that are wanting to do mini museums where we have traveling BMX exhibits. The other thing we have to talk about is succession planning. I stand in a Hall of Fame and I take a step to the left and we have a bunch of our young up-and-comers. And I say, what happens right here? And they're like, I don't know, we got to fill that in. And I'm like, no, I retire. But so does probably 70% of the OG crew. So we created a thing called Leadership ABA. These are not just internal staff. We have external track operators, industry spokespeople, one-year program. They get to come up with things and tell us, what are you doing wrong? What are some new ideas? They get to research what are other sports doing, feed it to us. We have to innovate and change. So excited about that. ABA, they're going to make a presentation to you at Grands. So be ready, right? Other things, we are at the White House every year now. So BMX is on the National Parks Board. So I'll be teaching a class to parks directors across the country about BMX and the power of what these parks do to change lives, what they can do to get kids on bikes and get them off screens, about accessibility and empowering underserved communities. Shields, Dick's Sporting Goods, they're all working with us. And out of Tulsa, we have a traveling museum exhibit that will go nationwide for 10 years, over 30 other museums across the country. It will activate 243 tracks and estimate to engage 1 million people on BMX and getting them to that track or park in the location they are. So we're excited about that. We're also not keeping our eyes closed. We understand the worlds are changing. We have to evolve. We're collaborating with NICA. Oklahoma just got their first NICA chapter. They're going to be working here so we can get those mountain bike kids on the track so they can try it. For cross collaboration, we work with Tulsa Tough. If you don't know what that is, a big national road race here in downtown. They love us. They put all our BMX information in every one of their handouts. And the Ironman, believe it or not, they love coming here, and we work with them as well. Cody knows this, and I'm really proud, and I want to give a big shout out to him and Shannon and the operations team. We're talking about lean processes, right? So all of you that own businesses, you get this. What are we doing now that we can make more efficient? That allows us to do other things and bigger things because we're going to need it, because we got a tsunami coming of things. So in short, I hope that was 5 minutes. Our dream is to have a BMX ecosystem so that when we open a new facility, that facility is automatically armed with BMX racing events, freestyle events, foundation programs, grants ahead of time, so those grants can then buy bikes from the manufacturers, support them, and then plug it back and bring kids back into the team. If this one facility can do 4,700 kids in 2 summers, imagine what 320 tracks in North America can do once we start scaling this and we get momentum. That's how we're going to grow BMX. So I always ask myself this from a leadership position, what keeps me up at night? That lets me know what my number one priority is. It's retention. So the question is, we ask our team, all right, we had all these kids come here. How do we get them back? When we replicate this, how do we get them back? So you all think about that. We haven't answered it yet. We think we know, but we're just scratching the surface on that. It's a really good problem to have. We're going to keep going. For those of you who'll be here next year, these numbers will be bigger. I can't wait to tell you what else is happening. But again, thank you so much for everything you're doing, because everything I just talked about is based off the foundation you all have laid. So thank you. All right, one last thing. Where's Toby? We got a special presentation, not on the agenda. I gave my team a heads up, but Toby, on behalf of all you guys, wanted a little bit of time. So Toby, thank you, bud.
Thanks, brother. All right. I guess you guys can hear me? Yeah, maybe. I'm going to read from my phone. I feel a little silly right now after Hugo flipping page after page, right? But I have to, I don't want to forget anything. So I'm Toby Henderson, Hall of Fame member 1994. Thank you. Before we conclude, on behalf of all the Hall of Fame members, new and old, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the people who work tirelessly behind the scenes to make nights like this possible and ensure that the Hall of Fame continues to thrive. While we have singled out a few individuals tonight, it's important to remember this event is a preservation of our BMX memorabilia. Rely on many dedicated people. Every contribution, large and small, plays a crucial role in making this Hall of Fame what it is. To all of you working behind the scenes, thank you. Let me begin with a story. So picture a family that for more than 45 years, I think it's more than 45 years, right? Right? Picture a family for more than 45 years has given their all to BMX, not just by supporting the sport, but by growing it, preserving its history, and nurturing its legacy. After year, the dedication ensures that the nights like this happens. That Hall of Fame stands strong, and the BMX continues to inspire new generations. This family's deep contributions run through, and they often work behind the scenes to impact is felt by all of us. Sorry about that. I'm talking, of course, about the Anderson family. Their unwavering commitment and unwavering commitment has become the backbone of our Hall of Fame, and for that, us Hall of Fame members are very grateful. Hey, BA, will you come up and accept this for your dad, Bernie, Edson, BR, and yourself? He didn't jump over the fence like I thought he was going to. I'm trying to not go past 10. It's 10:08, guys. I'm going to let you guys out of here soon. This is for you and Aaron. Next, I'd like to recognize two individuals who have worked tirelessly to make this evening, as well as in the past Hall of Fame events, as special it has been. Shannon and Jennifer Gillette are the ones behind the scenes ensuring that every detail of this banquet reflects the importance of tonight's occasion. Their hard work, attention to detail, and the passion for the sport have made tonight a memorable celebration for all of us. Shannon, Jennifer, come up and get this from us, okay? Thanks. I think you guys don't know how hard they work at this. So we just want to recognize people like this, all us members that really, really thank you guys for. What's that?
I've never been on the stage before.
I know. See, she's never been up here, so she deserves it. You want to say something? No. Thank you guys. Thank you. Okay, so lastly, we're going to let you guys go. Lastly, I cannot speak of BMX legacy without acknowledging this man who has made his life's work to preserve the stories, the legends, and the history of this incredible sport, Gork. Your dedication, curating the history of BMX, ensuring that the stories of the past continue to inspire the riders of today is invaluable. You have given us the gift of remembering where we all came from. Gork, please come up and get something from us. All right. You've been up here before, though, haven't you? Yeah. All right, Barry. Hey, thanks for everybody who puts this show on. And Cash asked me to close it out. I just basically say, you're all dismissed. Go home. We're 10 minutes late. Thank you, guys.